See, now what happened? Now we're backwards. Hello, everyone. Welcome. You can't handle it.
No.
Welcome. It's Monday night. It's time for revolutionary change. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager, and I have to deal with Jen Perelman just as Jen Perelman has to deal with me. How's everybody doing this evening? Hopefully doing well.
You do it every time. As soon as I got in there, and then you did the countdown before you let me come in so that we could be correct.
You get on my ass anytime I'm here like a second late. You were like 3 minutes late, and I didn't say anything. So.
I wasn't late.
I
was here. I am sure.
Okay.
You like to wait and be in the background until the last possible second and then come sit down.
Well,
like you like to be on the edge of my seat waiting for you.
I actually had a business call that extended later than I thought it would. So luckily I'm not late today, which is obviously nice. Smash that like button if you guys are here. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure that you share the stream if you would be so kind.
It is Monday, and I feel like I'm sensing like that Monday vibe in the chat. People are having a Monday vibe. I don't know.
It's a Monday vibe, actually.
It's a Monday vibe. And you know what? I haven't felt a Monday vibe in a really long time because I don't work like a 9-to-5 office work week. So, when you work a 9-to-5 office work week, there's definitely a Monday vibe. But yeah, I just feel like today feels very Monday. Just saying.
It's just another manic Monday, but you wouldn't know because you are not a full-time employee of a office job of some kind.
And I'm thankful for that. But yeah, it makes things very different. Also, we work nights with this. So like, I'm just not on a normal, I guess, typical work week schedule. Although I don't think I think most people are now more like that, like we are.
Hey, mom, working nights, so working nights. And that's the way it is.
I'm just saying, yes, I am having a case of the Mondays.
We're all having a case of, my God, things are so bad. What are we going to do to get our way out of this, Jen? What are we supposed to do?
It's a revolution. That's what the revolution is about, because this is not going to happen nicely. We tried that. It didn't work.
No, it's not. And it's not going to work because too many people are too aware now. I've often said, I say this on the channel a lot. I say this to everybody. Technology is our greatest asset and it's our greatest detriment at the same time. It all depends on how you use it. And in the case of what's going on around the world right now, we know for sure that the narrative is changing and the powers that be are concerned about how they're going to continue to sell it. Now, obviously, we are of the mind, hence the name of our channel, as you can see above us, Revolutionary Change. The only way out of this is a revolution.
Yes.
That is it. And again, I will continue to say it, revolution doesn't have to be a scary word. It doesn't have to be bloody, but they're daring us to make it so.
Here's the thing. It doesn't have to be, yet historically it always is. So, it's one of those things where it doesn't have to be, but it is. That's what's happening.
For those of you
who it's going to start getting worse. And by the way, we're going to be people on that terrorist list or whatever that Pam Bondi is investigating into, people that are dissenters and stuff. This is how it starts really going down, and it's going to be a lot broader than the immigrants. See, you thought they were just building concentration camps for immigrants? No. It's working its way up.
Well, this is why we constantly talk about the need to align with people who actually know how to live off the grid, because that's what's coming. You have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, and this is one of the reasons why we really don't F with the ish-libs, if you will. We cannot break bread with people who are solely dependent on the technological system that the powers that be are in control of, because the second they sense that we are going to overwhelm them, they will just cut off the power, because that's what will happen. That's inevitably going to happen. That's why we're not in a position yet where they can shut our channel down. But you better believe that if we get to a true revolutionary period, our channel will go kaput. Because
all of the channels will. And this is something that is very important for people to understand. The revolution really won't be televised in that way, because the people that own the media are not on our team. right? So what's going to happen is more and more channels are going to get censored and shut down and labeled as threatening to, terroristic threats or whatever they're going to say.
What is it that they say in the Church of Scientology? We are suppressive people.
We're suppressive. Well, it is getting to that. And so what needs to be happening is that we need to be building up real life in the real world. I know that's crazy for like some of the younger people. I don't know how many younger people we really have on here, but we're going to need to have communities that exist in the real world, because we're not going to be able to rely on the internet, because the internet is owned by the oppressor at the end of the day. So that's what we need to start doing, and form small sustainable communities and co-ops and all that stuff, because this isn't going to end well.
No, but as I said, and hello, I don't know how to say hello in Danish, but it's.
I would like a Danish.
Yeah, well, wouldn't everybody except me, of course,
except you.
So when we talk about the desperation that the Zio state, because let's face it, we are one and the same, and we're going to get into that because Tucker Carlson is at this event where it continues. I think that the average American, even Americans that are aware of what's going on right now, I think they can all, for the most part, can generally take this in small doses. They can't take it all at once. It's very overwhelming to revert to that Nazi meme from Inglourious Bastards. Are we the baddies? Yes, unfortunately, America are the bad. And I hate it that way. But remember, it's the State Department that makes it all look like we're on board with this stuff, but we all know that we're not. But make no mistake, the level of desperation that they are facing right now, I don't know what level of grief they're experiencing or what level of cope that they're going through, but this apparently is an ad from AIPAC. So as far as I can see, this is just another level of cope on their part, trying to still sell the Zio state to all of us.
It's the start of a new day. And thanks to Israeli innovation, our journey will be made easier. I'll show you the sky. Our connections clearer. No looking down.
Why do I get the feeling that some of these people that have been put in this commercial were not aware that that was what they were going to be featured in? And they're like, holy shit, I don't want to be a part of this. The whole waiver thing.
Our food more plentiful and nourishing. Open your eyes. Our oceans cleaner. Far from the ground.
Could we just?
I can't believe that they're doing a travel and leisure advertisement for Ziohel right now. Like, this isn't an AIPAC ad. This is an ad for Israel tourism.
Could we also be very clear that there is no greater destructor of the environment on the planet right now than Ziohel? There is no one who has done more destruction. I believe it's the equivalent of how many atomic bombs?
It's like, on Gaza alone, it's like the equivalent of 4 Hiroshimas.
If you ask me, that's probably done more damage to the environment than anything else going right now, despite what may be going on here in the States, despite obviously what's going on in India, despite even what's going on in China. I would imagine that despite the 3 most populous countries, although I believe we're 4th, point being is that
sorry, this is really funny.
Tel Aviv, pardon our that's good, Sable.
Sable. It's funny shit.
Let's finish it up.
All right.
No looking down. Our communities safer.
Very safe.
Oh, that's great. Yo, that's where I want to go.
Our loved ones healthier.
Do they have healthcare?
We can take it one step at a time. We can take it one step till we get it right.
Let me tell you something. I could go make Aliyah right now just to get the healthcare.
I mean, that definitely looks like Tel Aviv right there, doesn't it, Jen?
with the Statue of Liberty. It's so ridiculous.
Is this commercial for Israel?
Well,
Or is
it is. It's for Israel, but yet they're still spewing this shit that they're an American pack.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not exactly ones that like to follow the law.
From morning to night, whatever the challenge, Israel is America's partner for a better future.
Yeah.
Well,
You can't make this shit up. That's ridiculous. That's just so ridiculous. But yeah, it really felt like a tourist ad, like to get tourism, come here. And I got to tell you, the healthcare looked appealing to me because we don't get that here.
no, definitely not.
So, to me, that's the only reason it would have ever made sense for people to like go somewhere is you're going to go get healthcare there. All right. Well, that makes sense.
Well, I often wondered because we pay Israel to have all those fine things like healthcare. So it really is confusing when you get right down to it. If we can afford to give 8 million people universal health care and they don't have to do anything in return, I'd like to think that in the States, we could absolutely have health. But again, this is the
we know we can.
This is the whole thing about austerity, which doesn't actually work. It never works. It's not supposed to work. It's supposed to keep you in fear so that you don't actually rebel against this tyrannical government. That's the whole point. That's why you don't have nice things. That's why they rebel in countries like France, because in France, they have the basics like education and healthcare.
Yes.
We don't.
Yeah, they actually have concern of the collective. Also, can we talk about the part of that ad where it might as well have said, "Come to Israel. We'll monitor your every move when you're here." Like that was not a selling point. So it's like the healthcare good, the monitoring everywhere I go, not good, although it's not like that's not happening here too. So,
well, the technology was something, cybersecurity was something that they really focused on in a very hyper way in that.
Yeah, it's so interesting how that is like a complete not a selling point to me, right? Like I want to go to the place where they're still using flip phones. That's where I want to go. I want to go get my old brick that I used to have in my car with my phone brick.
Norm Finkelstein still uses a flip phone.
I was the last of anybody that I knew that was still using a flip phone, and I was for the longest time. And then I had to but really what it was is the camera. That's the thing about my phone is that now that is the camera. Once the phone became the camera, it needed to be a better phone.
Well, that's ultimately what I think sold a lot of people on the need to advance their technology and have basically a mini computer or a tracking device, if you will, on you at all times. Because in the end, a nice camera phone in addition to, well, now we're going to follow your every move.
Oh,
what you say.
And let's be real. The electronic leash is what this is. A phone is an electronic leash. And I honestly, I wonder if I probably would have a phone by now, but I only started carrying a cell phone when I had kids. I only started carrying a cell phone when Reese was in daycare because I was working. And otherwise, I never was into the phone. I had it just because of that. So I don't know. Like if I didn't have kids, I'd probably have a phone by now. I don't know. Or I would just be living in the woods already,
Someone's going to have to get a hold of you somehow. If it's Morse code,
send me like I need an owl. I need an owl like they use in Harry Potter to deliver my messages.
I am still proud to say that I've never seen a single Harry Potter movie, and that has nothing to do with J.K. Rowling. It just has to do with I'm just not. It just wasn't my thing.
You don't go to movies, also.
I do go to movies. They have to be a good movie, but yes, I do go. In fact, I like the movie-going experience. I think that Mission Impossible movies are the best example of movies to see on the big screen. That's just me.
Meh.
So you say.
I saw a good movie last week. I saw Rental Family, which is a Brendan Fraser movie, and it takes place in Tokyo. And it's a small movie made into, I think, it's Japanese film company, Japanese everything. And it was a really sweet movie. I really liked it very much. So I highly recommend Rental Family. It's a sweet movie. It's the right amount of, feeling. It's the right amount of feeling. It's not too maudlin, not too, but I liked it.
Je ne sais quoi. Well, I want to bring up the point that I think is very important here. If you think that it's bad in terms of what the Israel lobby is trying to do in terms of trying to sell the Zionist state, now think about what it means to basically be ordained Israeli ambassadors, because that was the whole point of pulling all of those pastors into Tel Aviv and creating this network, if you will, of Christian Zion pastors to basically go back to their flock and sheep herd them back into their flock where they belong, supporting the state of Israel. Now, I mentioned on Saturday Mike Evans, who appears to be the Huckabee acolyte that has been organizing these get-togethers overseas. I have never seen anybody drop to their knees faster and slurp the Zio state like this guy. This is very tough to take, but let me tell you, this without question shows the level of desperation that the Zio state is facing right now. It's hard to watch, but take solace in the fact that they would not be doing this unless we were breaking through to the general population.
I'm so thankful to all of you that have been here, but there's somebody that I never get to be with in an event like this, my beloved wife, Carolyn. So I want you to stand, Carolyn. Carolyn is totally selfless. And when I married her, I said, I have to be honest. There's another woman in my life. She said, what? I said, Israel.
Ugh. Okay. You had to put this. I really do not like to focus on the physical. I really do not like to focus on the physical. But this woman, to me, I really feel like she looks like either, I don't want to say piggy because it's kind of mean about piggies. You know what she reminds me of? She reminds me of those characters. Yeah, no, she reminds me of those things from The Fifth Element that were working for Gary Oldman.
Oh my God, really?
Yes, that's what I think of when I see her. I think of those things. That's how disgusting she is to me.
You get the stones. Not 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, she's a willing participant in his ridiculous nonsense, genocide, psychotic shit. She's a willing participant.
First
She's
of all,
evil.
when the flying F comes up with the, I have another woman in my life, it's Israel. Like, what level of desperation are you at to appease your sugar daddy? You can't suck them harder. They're going to scream.
I was going to say, like, really what he needs to do is just get on his knees and, like,
perform it in front of everybody. Do it to Netanyahu in front of everybody.
That's what I'm saying. Just go ahead. Go suckle on his nuts. You might as well.
I love her so much. I have to be with her a lot. She said, honey, I will let you do that. But if she ever calls me on the phone, you are dead. We are going to train 100,000 Christian ambassadors to be ambassadors in their own country for the state of Israel, to defend Israel's brand and to combat anti-Semitism. Now, the beautiful part about this is we're partnering with Blackboard. Blackboard is the largest platform in the world, serving Harvard, Yale, all the major universities. The vice president of Blackboard is here. It's a $2.3 billion company. Would you stand, please?
It's a $2.3 billion, a really great company, makes a lot of money. I mean, honestly, it's as if he went to Trump University and just said, it's a really great company. This is supposed to be pious people. These are supposed to be people of the cloth that are supposed to separate church from state.
Nothing oozes sanctimony better than when your genociders get together with your top capitalists and have like a cross-pollination. Nothing sexier than that. I'm going to vomit. Really, I'm going to vomit.
So it starts with 1,000 pastors coming to Tel Aviv. And now the next incarnation is that each one of you pastors has to come up with, if I'm doing the math correctly, 1,000 times 1,000 is 100,000. So each one of you pastors is basically responsible for getting an additional 1,000 people to basically become Israel ambassadors. That's your responsibility.
Yes, this is Zio Amway. That's what this is.
That's one hell of a pyramid scheme. How much you think they're getting?
The biggest.
How much you think? The totally the biggest. What do you think they're getting paid to do this?
Well, it isn't necessarily that they're getting paid to do this. It's how much like donations are going to be made to their congregations or their tax-free slush funds so that they could buy a corporate jet and all aspire to be like Joel Osteen.
They're not going to kiss the wall. They're going to hump the wall. That's what's going to happen next.
Oh, yeah.
Would you give them a hand? Using adaptive learning technology. So we'll train these wonderful Christian evangelicals.
By the way, who want the Jews dead?
What I am doing for the state of Israel. Secondly, we're creating FOSS-I, an online academy to train tens of millions of evangelicals.
You need to forward this to Casey and make sure she has seen this.
First of all, tens of millions of evangelicals. I don't know that there are tens of millions of evangelicals. There are tens of millions of evangelicals, but tens of millions of evangelicals that love the state of Israel.
They're working on it. That's the thing. They have to promote from within. They're not going to be able to get new people. That's the thing. They're not going to get new people. So they have to make sure that every Christian evangelical on the planet gets on board with Israel.
And for those, and I'm noticing, I'm just glancing at the chat ever so briefly. Guys, if you don't know who Mike Evans is, he's been an evangelical pastor on Long Island, I believe, for about 50 years. And he has a reputation of being known as the soul snatcher of Long Island when it comes to converting Jews to evangelical Christianity. Apparently,
interesting.
That's his gift. That's his skill set.
Oh, he's trying to save us.
Oh, yes. From burning in hell for all eternity, right? Yeah. Sure.
I'm not burning in hell. I'm going to be ruling. There's an office with my name on the door, bitch.
Oh, everybody be nice to Jen or you might be under her thumb.
I'm just saying, that's what I say when people say
the power of the evangelical muscle is enormous. It represents almost 1 billion people. But no one ever harnessed it. And we're doing that here. We're creating the first evangelical think tank, the first evangelical research institute, so the state of Israel will know who they are and how they can contribute to the state of Israel. We're, of course, a social network campus and much more. So that's exciting for us. The second thing I want to announce is in our Friends of Zion Museum, we are going to build the Donald Trump exhibition.
Oh, how fun. They're building a Trump exhibition. Back on his first point, did you see how he had that they're going to have an evangelical learning center? Isn't that an oxymoron?
Yeah, but think about this. How much
if you want, like, even by definition, evangelicals aren't about learning anything.
You know what I want to know? I mean, this is when you consider the scope of how wide they're trying to stretch this thing into basically 100,000 acolytes. I mean, this is an operation that is in the billion with a B. This is billions of dollars is what this is. And what I want to know is who in the fuck is paying for it? Good.
This. I've sensed that. I've sensed that around me for sure. Yes. I will tell you, I have noticed an increase in, we've seen it on the campaign trail down here, small fellowship congregations that are renting spaces in strip malls or wherever they are. And they literally are people coming together for prayer and service and whatever. And that to me is something where I have been noticing more young people in that, which good, right? Like at least that's some local stuff. It's not like funding this kind of crap.
No, and therein lies the big issue here, which is why Israel is the uniting issue of our time. We must deal with this or it will deal with us. So you have to decide. They're not fucking around. Like there's a reason why we're heading for a police state. They don't know what else to do with us. Our own government is turning against its citizens. That's the stage we're entering. And these guys are gleefully going along with it because they've got a big fat paycheck coming with it. And Lord knows, with somebody who's been a bullshit artist for almost 2 generations, Mike Evans cannot get these words out of his mouth fast enough if it pays him well enough, which we all know it's doing.
I just wanted to point out the lunacy of saying Evangelical Learning Center in a phrase.
No president in American history has done more for the state of Israel than Donald Trump.
LBJ.
The media center is indeed a gift to Israel. You can use it, Ambassador Friedman. You can use it for any event you want for the foreign ministry, etc., because we are doing this all for Israel. It's all about Israel. He who defines the terms controls the debate. And we've allowed in the past the enemies of Israel to define the terms.
Yeah.
But not anymore. The 21st century wars are first media wars. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. And anybody that doesn't understand that they're media wars is delusional. I talked to a Joint Chief of Staff and I said to him, help me understand, how do wars begin and end? He whispered in my ear and said, you don't have a recorder on? I said, no. He said, the media decides when they start, the media decides when they end. Most people don't understand the power of the media.
Okay, psycho. I think we do. Oh, I think we understand the power of the media.
I'm not convinced that he's selling himself that well in that room. He's not a very good salesman, if you ask me.
No, he's horrible. He's horrible. They would give him the boot, but they can't.
Well, the way that the two Satan Yahoo Milikowskis are staring at him, they're like, can't we do better than this? I mean, is this the best we've got?
Yeah, it is.
Fortunately, when it comes to the evangelicals, this is the top dude. What do you want us to do about it?
So they're giving an award to Trump, or they're naming the center after Trump.
It really, you should name everything after me.
Well,
I made a really.
We're going to show that little video of the new award for Trump.
Now, slow down. Now, we don't want to ruin it for everybody.
Okay.
Let's finish it.
Marvelous opportunities of a lifetime are right now. Shimon Peres was our first chairman. And people ask me why. Shimon Peres, wasn't he to the left and you're to the right? I said, let me tell you something. I love that man. I love that man because I knew his mind and his heart. But we evangelicals are not to the right. We're not to the left. We're for the bird. The bird is Israel. We're for all of it. We're for all of it. And we're the ones that got President Trump elected, and we'll do it again. And now you
do it again. Do it again.
This guy has lost his mind. This guy has just look at him. He's like deranged.
I'm trying to, he's like a mortician.
Well, and the dye job on his hair is really skunky, but I mean,
no, he's got a full head of gray hair, and the fact that he dyed it black.
Well, but you could see the whole, it's not good look.
Yeah.
He's ridiculous.
Or he's giving off a slowly decaying Gomez Adams look. He's
maybe
determine which one.
It's not good.
You have an evangelical vice president, evangelical secretary of state. You have evangelical advisors. One of them has just flown in here from the White House with the president. That's on our team. This is an astonishing day.
She's so gross.
All of them, the way that the entire panel is looking, they're just like, man, we're really.
Nobody is like it. Here's the thing. These are all psychopathic, disgusting people. And so I don't know, are they ever in a good vibe? They don't have good vibes. I mean, I could almost feel the toxicity of that room through the camera.
Oh, I'm just looking forward to all of them being lined up in The Hague, because that's where they're all going to go if we have justice in this world.
I don't know. We have not seen it yet. We haven't seen it for W and his administration. We haven't seen it in a lot of cases. So I'm not holding out hope for that.
Well, I don't think the country's ever been united before the way that it is right now. I would say that the country
in its rage.
Well, you know what the problem is, and this also gets back to what a failure Obama ended up being. I think he had a real opportunity in the early stages, especially because of the landslide that he won in 2008, where there could have been justice done, and I think the country would have been ready for it at that time. But he decided to be just as bad, if not worse, in a number of respects.
Right. So what does that tell you?
Well, in some ways, I say thank you to Obama for exposing the duopoly for what it is, because there were so many people, especially in 08, that were convinced that if we just put the blue team back in power, that everything will be okay again. And the difference between Obama and Clinton is that Obama was actually selling a progressive agenda. Clinton never sold a progressive agenda. Let's be clear about that. And so the fact of the matter is he sold it. It didn't work. And the propaganda machine went into overdrive. There were a lot of people who thought Trump was going to run in 2012, and it didn't happen. And then ultimately in 2016, the country was ready to just say, fuck it. But they were ready to say, fuck it with Bernie Sanders, and the Democratic Party decided to fuck this country 9 ways to Sunday forever in a day.
And that's because the Democratic Party is a controlled opposition fiction that still serves capital. And capital was best served as to between Bernie and Trump by Trump. And so the Democrats, as a tool of capital, were just as content with Trump as they would have been. They don't really care. They don't really care.
Just remember,
so we were talking about the Trump winning or getting a thing named after him, right? So I had sent this to you.
But I just want to point out to everybody in the audience, I've always said, and I will keep saying it, and Jen and I said it the day we saw it all the way back in the early stages of our podcast. The image of Pelosi and McConnell doing the elbow bump or the fist bump that they did, I said that is politics right there. That's DC politics in a nutshell.
They're all friends. They don't give a shit. They have no morals. So I guess what happened was little Donnie was so
Don't
sad.
You dare call me that. I'm totally
was so sad about not winning the Nobel Peace Prize because he wants a peace prize so badly that apparently the soccer organization FIFA has made a new award, and this will they're never having this award again. This is literally something that they did for him because he was pissed he didn't get a Nobel Peace Prize. So it's so ridiculous. So this video is something that came across my feed on Instagram, and it's very entertaining. And so I wanted to share it because this is like what I think.
I totally
story of making his own Temu Peace Prize. Donnie has been obsessed with getting all the awards his entire life, but being a semi-sentient pile of self-tanner and McDonald's styrofoam containers, he's received very few. To try to get on the Forbes 400, he made up a fake persona to call reporters with, pretending to be his own publicist. For years, he had fake Time Man of the Year covers hung around his hotels.
Is that true? Did he used to call? I remember.
The thing about him pretending to be his own
publicist. Yeah,
that's true. This is all true.
I'm not surprised. I mean, that's from way back when. That's from like the 80s and 90s.
They wouldn't say this if it weren't true. And it is true. Like, it's just ridiculous to be true that he would have fake Time magazine covers around his place.
What this reminds me of is when there was the paparazzi obsession in like the early 2000s with like the Lindsay Lohans and the Britney Spears of the world and people like that. But then it turns out that they were the ones actually calling the paparazzi to come, take photos of them at places and stuff like that. So it's like Trump invented that whole idea of, you want to talk about it today? It's a really great idea. That seems stupid.
Yeah, no, let this play. This is great.
And most recently, he's been downright salivating over a Nobel Peace Prize. Which is why, when FIFA had to make up a Peace Prize to give him on stage, it was very fucking confusing. FIFA created this prize last month. They announced no nominees, no nominating committee, no board of judges, no criteria. Many of the members on the governing board had no idea the prize existed and no clue what it was actually for. So to make this super fucking clear, our toddler of a president lost his fucking mud because he couldn't force his way into having a Nobel Prize. Then FIFA, the soccer organization, created one just for him to soothe his little toddler brain, and will never, ever, ever do this again. You should go watch his speech where he pretends he saved millions of lives. He's standing there next to his participation trophy, pretending it's this deep moment of reverence, and it is just the saddest, most pathetic thing I have ever seen.
Even Jesus on his shoulder.
Oh,
Respect.
it's so funny.
I honestly was not aware of this. I'm not going to lie. I had no idea this was a thing.
Wait, no idea what that they gave him the FIFA
But they
award?
gave him a participation trophy. I
Well,
remember
no, they
he
didn't
was
call it
talking
a
about FIFA.
participation trophy, Peter. It is a participation trophy. They called it their first ever peace prize from the soccer organization.
Listen, you're going to give me something. You're going to give me something really great, really incredible. Or I am totally canceling the FIFA party here in the United States. What are you going to do? You know, you got to do something for me. I'm an
so
important
funny.
person. If they could give, but honestly, I have no arguments against giving Trump a peace prize, because if you're going to give it to Obama, then what the hell is the point of having it in the first place?
Oh, I couldn't care less at this point. It obviously has no meaning to it. They can give it to whoever they want to. It has absolutely no meaning. You know, and yet you've got Miss Rachel getting anti-Semite of the year. So, you know, we're in a weird time.
Well, you know, the amazing thing is that the only president in our history that actually deserved the Nobel Peace Prize was the first one who got it, and that's Teddy Roosevelt. And he actually ended the Russo-Japanese War. And by doing so, it ended up delaying World War I by over a decade. Now, maybe it was inevitable that that was what was going to happen anyway, but he at least played a part in it. Who I believe is probably the worst president in our nation's history based on what has happened as a result of the policies that were passed under his administration, Woodrow Wilson, also got the Nobel Peace Prize for forming the League of Nations.
All of the point is that it has no meaning to it. It has no meaning to it. Henry Kissinger won this. It has no meaning to it whatsoever.
From that point forward, no president got it again until they gave it to Obama.
It's all silly, and he never should have gotten it. But
Of course
anywho,
not.
I thought that little cartoon was hilarious.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. And it's
That's
also
how I think of his little participation trophy.
Well, I think it's also fair to say that Trump is getting to a point in his life where he really is starting to lose it. Like, he's not, his cognitive functioning capacities are not what they once were by any stretch.
And let me tell you, as somebody who remembers him very clearly from the 80s, they were never all that to begin with.
No. But in this case, it is pretty clear from what I can see that anyone who is thinking, oh, Trump is going to run for a third term, I'm like, are you crazy?
He's not going to make it through this one.
He can't run again. Do I think that if this was 12 years ago, for example, do I think he would potentially toy with the idea of going for a third? Yeah, probably. I could see that.
This isn't working. He's not going to make it through this term.
No. But what I think is even more apparent, and this is one of the reasons why we have to keep educating our audience. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Doha Forum that took place over the weekend, but here's what I can share with you guys. So the Doha Forum 2025, this is something that is taking place. I believe it's taking place maybe it's Dubai. Let me confirm where this is taking place, because I just want to be sure. I don't want to misspeak. This particular event is, I guess it's like a get-together of a multitude of world leaders. And over the weekend, they had this event, and Tucker Carlson was one of the panelists. Now, Tucker Carlson sits down with one of the members of the royal family in Qatar. So I was right. Yeah. So it's in, I thought it might've been Dubai, but Qatar is where it took place. And Tucker sat down with one of the members of the Qatar royal family. And this is what was discussed. Listen, I say this about Candace. I say this about Tucker. Whatever you think of them, they've got FU money and they proceed to do things that no one else that I have ever seen has the balls to do. And certainly not.
And what does that tell you? Because we know it in Tucker's case, but what does that tell you?
That unless you have FU money, you don't really.
It's not just money with them; they're protected.
Probably
Tucker's protected.
Yeah,
I don't know by whom.
Well, I'll get to that in a minute, but here we go.
Like a lot of contradicting messages.
Pretty intense, I'd say. This country is being denounced as a terror state, terror financing, very high volume, lots of attacks, including from politicians, sitting U.S. senators, Ted Cruz, for example. And the main criticism seems to revolve around Hamas, and the idea is that your country, and you specifically, are supporters of Hamas, you're terror financiers. And I'd like to just get right to the truth of that. So my understanding is Hamas is here in Doha because the United States and Israel asked you to host Hamas. Is that true? And if not, what is the truth about Hamas in Doha?
Well, thank you, Tucker. First of all, look, the starting of the relationship with Hamas and the communication was started back more than 10 years, 13 years ago, at the request of the United States.
There it is. Whoop, there it is.
Now, I want to be very clear about this. I know that there are arguments right now about whether Tucker's a Fed, Fuentes is a Fed, Candace is a Fed, because everybody gets to a certain level and they get certain information. Tucker Carlson is revealing talking points that only somebody who is connected to intelligence in some capacity would be able to share. Because I had no idea about this, and Jen and I are pretty well informed, but even I was not aware that any of this was in conversation. However, just the fact that he's putting it out there at a conference of the wealthiest and most connected elite in the world, to say that the United States, not just Netanyahu Milikowski's government, of which we already knew about the Hannibal Directive, the funding of Hamas.
Yeah.
Well, now what they're saying is the United States, in conjunction with Israel, is funding Hamas.
You're still not getting it. You're still not getting it. It's not the United States in conjunction with Israel. It's the United States. It's empire.
Yeah.
It is one. We are one.
Which is why we're trying to ease people into this, Jen. We're trying to make people see the reality that we are the baddies. We're trying to change that. But kudos to Tucker for not pulling any punches. But let's hear what this royal family member of Qatar has to say further.
Even beyond that, like it was 19 years ago when they first participated in the election, and then when they moved their office back in 2012 here, it was used only for the communication and to facilitate like ceasefire, facilitating aids to Gaza. Now, unfortunately, Qatar has been attacked for having them here, but when you look, at what's happening within the region, this region, when you look at its conflict, it has the parties of the conflict. Sometimes they are state actors, sometimes they are non-state actors. If you have no one speaking to those non-state actors, how we are going to resolve or to reach to a solution at the end of the day? And now we have seen that this communication.
That's the key point. That's the key point. Ziohel has no interest in resolving anything. They have no interest in communication. They have no interest in any of that. So I don't even know why we pretend.
Well, I would assume that the whole purpose here is that they're just trying to kick the can down the road for as long as they possibly can. Like, that's the whole point. I still insist that the Zio state is on borrowed time, and that it's just an inevitability in terms of when we finally break it. But Tucker doing this takes a lot of balls. And like you said, he's clearly connected to whom we don't know exactly.
Well, he's being protected. I mean, I don't know. Is it deep state? Is it the Vatican? I don't friggin' know.
I know one person that I can share with you guys. I can't really say to the extent of our involvement, but there is a very powerful billionaire who I have met with personally, and I will not detail what we talked about. I'll just say that this was somebody who some of you may have heard of. His name is Omid Malik. He is I guess you would say, I think he's a hedge funder. He's a very wealthy investor. He is of, I believe, Iranian and Pakistani origin. And he happens to be somebody who, I don't know if he came around on the second go around when you ran against Wasserman Schultz, but he did support the first time. I met him at one of Tulsi's events in New York City, and we connected, and we're still we're still connected today. I don't know if he would give me much time.
You should promote the PAC.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. So it turns out that Omid was a supporter of Jen's against Wasserman Schultz because, again, he's against the Zionist state. And as a result, while he is doing business with Donnie Jr., he is also a major backer of Tucker Carlson and his efforts.
Interesting.
And Omid Malik is a very powerful, wealthy individual. So that's just one person. It is certainly possible that there are others. But no one does this alone. Like you said, no one does this alone. Tucker can't do this unless there are people in very high places with a lot of power that are saying, Tucker's a made man. You can't touch him. So he can do what
Yes, that's what I'm saying. He's being protected.
Has led to ceasefires, has led to the release of the hostages, has led to alleviating the suffering of the people over there. And unfortunately, there are like politicians who are trying to use this to score like short-term political gains to fuel their narratives in order to using Qatar to blame another country for what's happening over there or for their wrong policies. All our aid and all our support and financing that went and what they claimed that it went to Hamas, went to Gaza, went to the people, and it was under very transparent process that the United States is fully aware about. Israel is the one who's facilitating, and it's not one government, it was across governments. Netanyahu, Bennett, we have dealt with all the agencies. Lapid was a prime minister at a certain point of time, Mossad, Shin Bet, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the defense, all of them, they were involved in these aids and the delivery of those aids. So today, when they are claiming that this is the financing of Qatar to Hamas, it has no basis. It's just a way to spread disinformation about a country that doesn't do anything for them, but it's doing things that are against their policies. If you just go to Qatar records with in its engagement with the United States for the last 20 years or 30 years, Qatar has never went to the United States and encouraging them to bomb this country or to support this group or to that group. We've been always in our dialogues with the United States about how we de-escalate the region, how we bring peace to the region, and this peace cannot happen without an engagement with everyone in the region.
Again, Israel's not having that. They don't want to engage with them. They just want to ethnically cleanse them. They want to Holocaust them. They don't want to engage with them. Don't be ridiculous.
So this gentleman is the Qatari Prime Minister, and his name is Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani.
Say that 5 times.
I'll say it one more time.
Don't say it again.
Prime Minister of Qatar, Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani. Not that difficult, I would say. But point is, we can no longer be under the illusion that it is just, if we just dealt with Israel, Israel is us and we are them, meaning the State Department. Our government is one and the same. That's why we've reached this tyrannical stage that Thomas Jefferson always warned us about when he wrote the Declaration. He warned us that this day could happen, and it's happening right now, where the government is no longer answering to the people. It hasn't answered to the people in a very long time, but now it is painfully obvious how we are living in a country that does not have a government that functions on behalf of its people. in any way. Zero. So how much more do we want to put up with it is the question.
Oh, I'm off on the left.
You're about to fall off.
I have fallen off. I'm falling off. I'm checking out. Building a food forest and a retreat for like-minded individuals.
Well, if you are enjoying this conversation, which we certainly hope that you are, and we appreciate any and all support that you have provided, please consider going over to patreon.com/revolutionary change for as little as $5 a month. You can become a supporter of our small but mighty and growing channel. And of course, we want to give you guys a couple of updates in terms of where we are at right now.
Where are we at?
We are at 93,885 subscribers. So with a little bit more of a push, we will likely pass 94,000 subscribers tonight, which is unbelievable considering how close we're getting. We have also officially passed 10 million views overall on our channel. That's an incredible achievement within itself, but obviously all of the growth that we have had over the last 6 months probably contributed to at least half of that, if not more. Be it as it may, we are certainly appreciative of all of the milestones that we are able to hit. Also, we will have our winter solstice, which is it is the Festivus in a different format because we're
no longer having a Festivus. We're having a solstice, but we will be airing our grievances.
We will. That we will do that. So make sure that you tune in. We'll have lots of wonderful guests. We're working on it right now. 2 weeks from tonight, guys. 2 weeks from tonight
is a revolutionary solstice, and solstice spelled S-O-U-L, stis. And that's from Rachel. That was her idea, and it's good. It's a solstice.
You'll also want to tune in because it will be the last time that Jen and I will be working together in a studio.
You don't know that.
Well,
you just know we'll be in this studio.
In that studio.
In this place, yeah.
That'll be the last one. So you're definitely going to want to tune in for that bad boy. Jim Taleb with the $5 kicking us off. Always great to see you, my friend. Thank you very, very much. Gezin82 with the $5. Think AI needs to be pushed to become Gort from Day the Earth Stood Still. I have not seen that movie. I don't know if you have, Jen, but no, that is one that I have not. Or they will turn it into Skynet. AI can be used for good. Well, I would agree, but the powers that be do not. Again, you think Alex Karp and Peter Thiel want AI to be used for anything other than basically playing God? That's what they want it for.
They want to round us up and put us into work camps. For real. That's the thing. It's working its way down. But yes, this is how it works. Again, you make housing unaffordable. You make homelessness illegal. You build special work camps. It doesn't take much to put it together.
Correctamundo. Sammy 1973, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Really appreciate you. Our trusty mod, the propaganda we call media. Yes, correct. Oh, Nancy Bernard, thank you so much for the 1999. I'm one of your biggest fans, Patreon member. I feel like I share a brain with Jen. Ashkenazi Jew, raised in LA. My parents were not Zionists, and I never went to Israel or Hebrew school. I listened to every show of yours.
Thank you, Nancy. If you're out in LA, you should connect out there with Lila because she's cool too. She's like us. She's with us in our plight.
She's on the team or on the mission?
Well, you know Lila.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
She's our Ashkenazi Jew. She's out in LA and yeah.
Good people. Gezin with the $5 again. Red and blue would bow before Gort AI. AI doesn't have donors or bias. If open source or blockchain or on blockchain, the code could be transparent. Gort idea. I'm not well versed enough to make a comment one way or the other as far as whether that's a good idea or not. I certainly welcome feedback from others if you would like to share. Obviously, that's always appreciated. And finally, Piano Man with the $10 super sticker. Thank you very, very much for your contribution. We appreciate everybody's contribution, because that is how we have continued to grow our channel to the point that it has gotten here. And finally, last but not least, one of our OGs, someone who's been with us since the very beginning, Chris Garrett with the $5. This is the Hunger Games in the making. Jen, you've been saying it. How do you describe it?
Okay, so basically, you just have to be fortunate that you live in the capital. But for the people that live in District 12, you know, it's places like Yemen, places like Haiti, places that, you know, we generally think of as discarded places. That's District 12. And at the end of the day, all the cool people, we're going to go meet in District 13. And that's what we're doing right now, because this can't stand anymore.
Well, speaking of not being able to stand, you know, I look around and I'm thinking the only way that you really get change to happen in the United States is if you eventually push people too far. And that is essentially what has happened all throughout this country, but especially in the state of Florida. Now, one of the big differences in Randy Fine's district versus the district Jen ran in against Debbie Wasserman Schultz is that Israel is a huge fixture in South Florida, particularly in Broward County. That is not a secret. Everybody knows that that is a huge part of why Brian Mast talks the way that he does, why Maria Elvira Salazar talks the way that she does, and obviously why Debbie Wasserman Schultz talks the way that she does. But up in the central part of Florida, on the Space Coast, in Brevard County specifically, it is a true anomaly to understand how somebody like Randy Fine, the most, I would say, bloodthirsty, egotistical, inhumane scumbag of Israel support that you could ever find anywhere in this country. I mean, he gleefully latches on to the Israel First movement. And in such a libertarian red part of this state, it is perplexing that this guy was able to get to Congress. And so now
he fell into that seat.
Did he actually fall into it? Because I think he falls into anything he might.
I'm just saying it was a happenstance situation. It was, you know, I mean, it wasn't a typical election. It was all sorts of different things that allowed for him to be where he is, not based on popularity, because he's not particularly popular, and he wasn't particularly popular in Tallahassee. No. He's disgusting. He's a pig.
And so the good news is there is somebody who has taken the responsibility to serve at the federal level and unseat him. And that is the only way he is going. And the thing about politics that we have told people when it comes to electoral politics, you have to be strategic. If you are not strategic, it is a waste of time. And so if you are going to unseat Randy Fine, it will happen in a primary. And that's correct. It. So with that said,
so for people that are going to come on here and talk to us about platforming people that are on the right, you got to just understand how shit works. Just understand how shit works.
We're not exactly convinced that anybody necessarily knows what needs to be done, but we are going to find out from somebody who I would like to think identifies first and foremost as America first. Aaron Baker, welcome to Revolutionary Change.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hi.
Pleasure to be on.
Where are you from?
Where are you from?
Yes. So I was actually born in Lakeland. I grew up in Western Kentucky, lived up north for a little while, and came back here during COVID to my hometown, or to my home area.
Yeah. I was in Lakeland for the first time, not that long ago, because I had to go to see the college because it's a Frank Lloyd Wright school. Right? That's where you're talking about you're from? Yeah.
That's it.
So you are actually a native Floridian.
I am a native Floridian, unlike our congressman who claims to be a third generation Floridian born in Arizona. And no one has been able to explain that one to me before. But all of the literature that he puts out specifically states third generation Floridian, but he's born in Arizona. I don't get it.
Because I'm second generation. I'm a second generation Floridian. My dad was born in Miami in 46, and I was born in North Miami So, but yeah, I was born here.
Correct. I get it 100%. My dad was born here.
Yeah.
My mom was from Kentucky. So I'm a second generation Floridian. My grandmother's from Puerto Rico. My grandfather has Irish background. I'm
there
very
you go.
Very grateful for my Puerto Rican heritage, where I would be as white as could possibly be.
Well, it's funny because I'm not trying to convert to Puerto Rican, but I'm trying to convert to Irish. I'm working on that. I was there and I want to blend. So I'm working on my conversion courses.
Well, I'm predominantly German Irish. So of course I have to watch myself out in the sun. It's not always the best move. But with that said, I think the most important thing, one of the habits that one gets into when they end up running for office, and this is something that I share as somebody who managed Jen's campaigns when she ran against Wasserman Schultz, there is a tendency to focus almost exclusively on the candidate because they're so putrid that it's hard not to focus on them. If you are fortunate enough to garner the momentum necessary in 10 months from now to win the primary in August of 26, what do you bring to the table to Congressional District 6 that the current representative is probably not doing in any way, shape, or form?
First of all, common sense. And second, I know this area like the back of my hand. I have done over the Christmas season, it gets especially busy because you've got this gathering and this Christmas party and this Christmas party, and they just stack right on top of each other. I can get in my truck right now, and if somebody said, "Hey, Aaron, I need you to be in Flagler Beach in an hour," I would just get in my truck and go. I don't need directions. I don't need to, as our current congressman, I don't live 100 miles that way. Because as you point out, our current congressman does reside in Brevard County, which is not in the congressional district.
Interesting. Okay, so can you, it is the Space Coast, but can you explain where the lines basically are and what they look like? Because I'm not surprised. We've heard this a time or two. Believe it or not, it was actually a very big talking point. If you remember back in 2018, when Ocasio-Cortez was able to unseat Crowley in New York, he didn't live in the congressional district either. This is kind of it's a very sinister practice that a lot of federally elected representatives do. Maxine Waters doesn't live in her congressional district, and she lives in one of the worst congressional districts, or represents one of the most impoverished congressional districts in the entire country. So it's not surprising that he doesn't. But what does the district look like overall?
So there are two different kind of distinguished coasts here. There's what we call the First Coast, which is the St. Augustine area and a little bit south, like Flagler Beach, Flagler County, down to Daytona. So I'm more First Coast than Space Coast. Space Coast is a little bit south, down actually Brevard County, where Randy Fine actually lives. So I am running to represent the First Coast, America's oldest city, St. Augustine, down to Daytona Beach, over to the middle of the state. It's a huge congressional district, 2,800 square miles. For a point of reference, it's the same size as the state of Connecticut, all in one congressional district, right in the heartland of Florida.
We're just putting up a little tidbit of information. I'm guessing about one of your co-runners in your race, challenger, Will Furry.
The one that's in Jerusalem right now?
Yeah, that's what they were pointing out. So we had just talked about that story of the pastors. We just covered that story. So I thought it was pretty relevant, and I would have never known that. So how many people are in your race?
So right now, I believe there are 6 Republicans that have filed the initial paperwork. I can tell you, I'm the only one that's actually collecting petitions, and I've started to turn those in. So I've filed federal paperwork, state paperwork, and am collecting the necessary petitions to get on the ballot. So a lot of people, kind of get into the race, test the water out, see if they can raise $1 zillion and, go from there. I'm in this race no matter what. No one's going to push me out. I had I ran in the special election back in January, and I literally had elected members of Congress currently tell me, or call me and tell me that I was un-American for running against Randy Fine in the special election.
Good.
I know what that feels like, because I, as somebody who ran against somebody who has the level of entitlement that you like, Israeli level of entitlement. When you tell people you're challenging someone like that, I know exactly what that feels like. It's the level of just oblivious entitlement on these people is staggering to me.
Aaron, I know that one of the biggest problems we have in this country today, aside from the fact that there is this unifying issue around Israel, is that this division amongst those that identify as, let's say, progressive or liberal versus conservative, libertarian, the dividing line has grown so exponentially big that a lot of people don't think that there is a way to bridge it. I am of the mind that you actually can bridge it. I think the biggest issue on the domestic side, obviously, we know Israel is the biggest issue when it comes to foreign policy. But when it comes to domestic policy, to me, the single biggest issue that we face at home is corporate special interests controlling our government. The importance of electing representatives that are not bought and paid for by corporate special interest money, to me, is something that should cover all political ideologies. This is not something that's a left or right thing. We know about, obviously the 2016 primary with Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, and that was really the first time that became a major talking point amongst the populace. And now today, it seems that the America First movement is very much focused on the need to get away from the corporate infrastructure. Your thoughts on that?
So let me give you the perfect example of that. My father travels back and forth to Colombia a couple times, 3 or 4 times a year. There's one medication that I take on a daily basis. I can get that medication over the counter in Colombia without a prescription for about $6. If I get it here with my copay, because I have Florida Blue insurance, with my copay, it's $30. And my health insurance is $600 a month because I'm 45 years old. Okay, so that is one specific example of how broken our healthcare system is because of all of the special interest. I mean, all of the pharmaceutical interest, it's crushing our daily lives. We're not able to afford to live because of the special interest money in politics, because they want us to pay more as consumers for our insurance, for our medication. It affects every single one of us, even if you don't, most people are like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it. There is something that we can do about it.
Well, that leads us to what I still think is the big issue that is going to have a breakthrough in conservative politics, and that is the issue of single-payer healthcare. In my opinion, this is the only way forward. It's what works all over the world. This is not ideological in any way as far as I'm concerned, because as somebody who leans libertarian on a lot of issues, this is the most cost-effective way to run a system. It's not government-run. We don't need government-run healthcare, but we do need the government to answer to the will of the people. So if we're paying what we're paying into healthcare, I want the for-profit middlemen the hell out of our system. We don't need Florida Blue. We don't need United. We don't need Aetna or Cigna. And we sure as hell don't need Big Pharma. We already saw what happened during COVID. I'm sure that was probably one of the reasons why you moved back to Florida. As people who identify on the populist left side of politics, we stood our ground and we said, there is no such, if you want to live in a free country, you cannot have mandates. No such thing. If you believe in that shit, you're in the wrong country. And so there were people who didn't necessarily see it that way, but I try to remind them that you do understand if we had a single payer system, that whole, you have to take this or you are going to lose your job, that shit wouldn't exist. Because the people would be in control.
You're 100% correct. And that's one reason why on the state level, I'm concerned about who our next governor is going to be, because we all know every time we walk out the door, I mean, I am literally meeting with people every single day. We know if we didn't have Governor DeSantis, America's governor, that Florida would be completely different. I mean, the whole country would be completely different. Florida leads the way for our entire nation. So, I mean, to your point, we have to fix some of these issues. We're just absolutely killing the middle class day after day after day. And it's, you know, it's not about, we don't need to get out there and bash Randy Fine every day. You know, we'll bash him every once in a while. But at the end of the day, what is this election about? Every single Republican in Congress needs to be talking about affordability. People can't afford to eat. Let me give you a perfect example. I'm a general contractor working on a job site down by the MCO, Orlando's airport. I had a homeowner call me and she said, Aaron, there's a dog out back. Did you know that? And I said, no, what are you talking about? And so I went and investigated. That was the 6th dog that they had found dumped this year. And why? Because people can't afford to feed their pets. Okay, if people can't afford to feed their pets, Republicans need to get off their ass, start actually doing something to bring down the cost of all of our products. We need to stop printing money, sending every country on the planet. It's not just Israel. I mean, we send money everywhere, every single day. We have got to do better every day.
Well, I would say that even though modern monetary theory is probably not something that's on your radar per se, it is very important to distinguish, and this is one of the things that ends up happening when people say our tax dollars that I want to be very clear about. The Fed, and listen, we're for ending the Fed. So let's put that out there. The Fed prints the money, and then the powers that be decide how that money gets spent. And then we as taxpayers don't have any say in it. And so we need people on Capitol Hill that will actually make this distinction. It becomes this whole, well, the taxpayers pay and then the government is funded. It doesn't work that way. So when they just decide, okay, we're giving another 100 billion with a B over to Israel, then that needs to be a clear distinction. We, as Thomas Jefferson said many a moons ago, when the government no longer fears the people, you have tyranny. It's when you have the government fearing the people that you have liberty. And that's what needs to turn around. We don't have federally elected legislators on Capitol Hill, minus Thomas Massie and maybe a few others, that actually believe in this actual concept of we the people. We need to put people in federally elected office where that becomes the mainstay again. I think you will have a real chance. Obviously, you need to raise capital. And of course, we are very happy to support Michael Rechtenwald over at AIPAC, who is helping out your campaign. And we hope that you'll be able to sustain the momentum necessary, because capital is going to be necessary. But I also want to remind people of who you're going up against. Now, there's a lot of different clips that we could have pulled of Randy Fine. He has said a lot of but to me, I picked
that man.
That to me is very, it's very diplomatic on his part, but it's very honest. This is who is currently representing your district.
Senator Randy Fine. I'm the Republican nominee for Congress in the 6th Congressional District, the special election to replace Mike Waltz. And I'm honored to be here at the AIPAC Congressional Reception, because for me, there is no more important foreign relationship for the United States to have than with Israel. The fight that Israel has is the fight that we have, because the enemy that Israel is fighting over there wants to come to the United States as well. So I can't wait to get to Congress and make sure that I do everything possible that America stands with Israel and Israel stands with America.
Who stands with us?
No one.
Yeah.
No one.
Right. An honor to be here, and I thank AIPAC for all the support they've given me.
Okay, so not only does he make it very clear that his top priority as a congressman is to support the state of Israel, but that he is a gleefully proud supporter and an endorser of AIPAC in what they stand.
I can't look at him.
No, he's tough to look at. But there's no question that I would imagine the overwhelming majority of people in your district they do have buyer's remorse. I would like to believe that they do. And the only reason this guy is sitting in Congress right now is because the president of the United States gave his endorsement. And everybody basically ran behind that.
Well, I can tell you, if they didn't have buyer's remorse, we wouldn't have 6 candidates that have filed on the Republican side to run
Right.
against, and a total of 12 candidates. If you look at the listing files, the 6th congressional district has more candidates than any other congressional district. And why? It's because of the blasphemous congressman that is named Randy Fine. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it was April Fool's Day when they were naming people, but Fine is not.
No.
Well,
And for people who don't know, Randy Fine was in our Florida legislature before he was sitting in Congress. And in our Florida legislature, he was a piece of shit. He's been always a piece of shit. This is someone who does not support my rights as a woman. This is someone who doesn't think I should be allowed to smoke cannabis if I feel like it. This is someone who is basically against every single thing that I stand for in this world. Like, he is just like horrible.
And what is the other? And what is the other distinction about Randy Fine from when he was in the state legislature to now in the federal legislature? What does he do now that he wasn't doing before?
Oh, now he wears his yarmulke. He wears his yarmulke every day. He never wore his yarmulke in Tallahassee.
Never did.
It's identity politics at its worst. 100% identity politics. I mean, when we have people that say, you know, oh, you can't wear your headscarf or whatever else. Randy Fine is the absolute most abysmal. If you put 10 people in a room and you tried to create the worst politician that you could imagine on paper, you would not believe this person exists.
Yeah.
He literally, when he was in the state legislature, withheld funding from the Brevard Zoo because they wouldn't let him host a fundraiser there. He called a school board member, and this is a quote, a whore, because they had a disagreement. I mean, the list just goes on and on. And you're like, you know, how in the world does this person actually fit anywhere into our political landscape? I mean,
I don't know how he fits anywhere.
Well, the irony of him saying in his very gargantuan position, no pun intended, that the Gazans should starve and that the streets of Gaza should be filled with blood. Yes, he is a bastard. There is no getting around that fact. And if you can get the support of this gentleman, I think that would be the real game changer in this election.
Randy Fine of Florida. And he said this the other day on Fox News last week. Quote, in World War II, we did not negotiate a surrender with the Nazis. We did not negotiate a surrender with the Japanese. We nuked the Japanese twice in order to get unconditional surrender. That needs to be the same here in Gaza. There is something deeply wrong with this culture and it needs to be defeated. So we're going to nuke Gaza because of its culture. We're going to kill everybody because we don't like the culture, which, by the way, lots of Christians in Gaza, Muslims in Gaza.
Just innocent people in Gaza of all kinds.
Well, of course, but like to say there's some like Gazan culture that's cohesive, it's like, what? But we're going to kill them all because we don't like their culture. And so I didn't believe that was real. I didn't really think he was a member of Congress. So I texted a friend of mine in Congress, is this really a member of Congress? Yes. I don't even know what to say to that, but that, first of all, it's evil, but how can you say something like that and not get expelled from Congress? How can that person be a member of the Republican Party?
Oh, Tucker's finally having such an awakening this past year. It's so glorious to watch. Let me count the ways in which somebody like that could be a member of the Republican Party. I mean, does he not know of people like David Duke, Strom Thurmond? Like, there are people like that part of that party. Like, the fact that this is news to him is fascinating to watch.
Which is why, Aaron, I think it is one thing that we've noticed probably over the past year, especially with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie in particular. There is definitely this, I don't want to call it a civil war because that's
a rift.
But there is definitely a divide. There is a divide. You want to call it MAGA on one side. I look at it as more of the old guard neocon Republican Party, and either this America First Republican Party or just this America First movement that is breaking away from the old neocon guard of the two-party duopoly. How do you see it going forward?
Well, back to Mr., if you will, Fine and his rhetoric. After they released the hostages from Gaza, he put out a tweet, and I actually didn't know what it meant. So I had to go do a little bit of research and see what it meant. He said, they've released the hostages, glass, period. Well, what does glass mean? Glass means that is the temperature at which sand melts. So he was doubling down on the let's flatten Gaza with a nuclear bomb, even after all of this, even after they've released the hostages. So, I mean, this man has absolutely zero morals, period. As far as the rift in the Republican Party, I 100% agree. If you elect me, guess what? I'm going to be a lot more like Marjorie Taylor Greene than the rest of the Republican Party, because I know what's going on the ground. I can think for myself. I have common sense, and I'll tell you right from wrong. The fight that I'm in this congressional district, I truly believe is good versus evil. And I believe Randy Fine is evil to the core.
That we agree on for sure. And look, there's a lot of people in this race, which gives me hope that somebody can take him out. He's clearly not popular. He is a disgusting person, and I'm happy for that. But this is not somebody who I don't think even represents the majority of Republicans. I really don't. Like, I don't think that's the case. And one of the people that we talk about a lot here is Thomas Massie. He is somebody that, even though I don't agree with on a lot of things, I have a lot of respect for. And I was just curious what your thoughts are about him as a representative.
Thomas Massie, I think he's a great representative. I mean, I am fortunate to have those connections, that I have his phone number.
Good.
You know, so I mean, if I actually had a question about something that I didn't know the answer to, and I needed the libertarian, constitutional, Republican point of view on it, you know, I'd send him a message and ask. You know, I have no problem doing that. I think that I specifically am best suited to take out Randy Fine, simply because of the amount of work that I put in this congressional district. As of yesterday, when I went back and counted, I think so far this year, it's like 218 different events that I've been to in this congressional district so far this year. So, you know, I mean, I am out there beating the bushes. We have a plan with volunteers. As of today, I have 49 volunteers, which is, you know, that's I could still use more. I mean, ideally, I'd like to get to 100 volunteers, where we can hit 100,000 doors. There's 271,000 registered Republicans in this congressional district. The voter turnout is very low in a primary. The most number of votes that anyone has ever gotten in this congressional district was Governor DeSantis when this was his congressional district, and that was 42,000 votes. So you're not talking about needing millions and millions and millions of votes to overcome or to finally put out the pasture Mr. Fine. You know, really the magic number, the number that I'm shooting for is 50,000 votes.
That's a big number.
But no, and you can let's put his information, all of your information will be in our description. And I think it's important, you know, it's like people need to understand this is a strategy thing. So for anybody who's on the left who's saying, well, why would I support somebody who's not on the left? Because that's how this works. That's just how this shit works.
You're representing your district.
Yeah.
And that's more than anything else the most important part of all of this. And the links are in the description. And so I think it's important, you just brought up a very good point. And while you're here, we might as well conclude with this. Thomas Massie, to me, is the congressional representative that best represents the people of the United States. This is a person who, unlike anybody, and I mean anybody, with maybe the exception of Rashida Tlaib, but that's only because she happens to be Palestinian and her family has several family members that have been killed in Gaza, and defied the Democratic establishment and said, I'm not supporting Biden or Harris. And that is to her credit. But of course, she's basically been ostracized, not a surprise. And in the case of Thomas Massie, you have the president of the United States trying to get $20 million behind a primary challenger to run against him in Kentucky's 4th district. What that tells me is the establishment is also very concerned that people are getting out of line, which is a great thing. But then Congressman Massie has this to say, I believe, a day or two ago.
Also, I'm going to say this here on camera because it's important. One of Kash Patel's staff threatened my staff with a criminal investigation if we didn't straighten up and play ball.
So a sitting Congress member is being threatened by the Department of Justice. Just like this is crazy stuff.
I love the fact that he doesn't care. Like he genuinely is like, oh, please bring it on. I have 0 F's to give. I've been through hell and back over the past several years, and you guys can throw all the darts you want at me. This is not going to shake me. Do you, Mr. Baker, see yourself in a similar rogue-like capacity in the same type of conduct, basically saying, I'm not here to make nice. I'm here to serve the members of my district, and I'm also here to try to help save my country. Will you conduct business in a similar capacity to Mr. Massie, should you get to Congress in the next year?
Damn straight I will.
Well, there's no other way to be. No. And I think that that's always the thing that always concerned the most amount of people when Jen was running against Wasserman Schultz. The big difference that I can see is in this moment, and why I think you have a puncher's chance, is that Wasserman Schultz is a cottage industry. She's been in Broward County politics, not just at the federal level, but at the state level combined for over a generation. And she has all of her pawns on the chessboard in a whole bunch of different places, a lot of powerful infrastructure on top of a district that's not walkable. That you're talking about a lot of gated walls and all that stuff. You move up the Central Coastline into an area where you're challenging a representative who's only in the middle of his first term. It does open up a lot of opportunities because he doesn't really have all those chess pieces on the board that he just to and say, you better get in line. So I ask you, how are your relationships right now with some of, let's say, the Volusia County Republican Party, any of those organizations? How's that going so far?
So I'll tell you, the Volusia County Republican Party is probably the most difficult. The Volusia County chairperson is probably the most difficult. I have a good relationship in Lake, Marion, Putnam, St. John's, and Flagler counties. Very good relationship in those 5 counties. Volusia, I kind of play the end-around game. Last night I was at one of the other, the Republican Club of Northeast Volusia, and that club has about 270 members. Very active people that all live, in the Ormond Beach area. So I have figured out when someone is not friendly, I play the end around game of, okay, you're not, you might not be the best. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the Atlantic Federated Republican Women's Christmas party, and I'm going to make sure that I have the biggest gift basket out of every single person there. And I'm going to make sure that you remember my name. And of course, you're going to remember my name because I was there last year also during the special election. So what's happened is all these people that were kind of unsure during the special election, well, I guess we better vote the way President Trump told us. They've had a year now to see me every month, every weekend, or, one of the events that I go to is First Friday in Flagler. Well, guess what? I set my tent up right next to the Republican tent. And anytime they're doing an event, I make sure that I sponsor it. one way that I've been able to make inroads is I'm a big firearm person, and my brother is a federal firearm dealer. So anytime somebody's holding like a Lincoln Reagan dinner, like they did in Lake County,
Sure.
I donate a Glock 19, and then they auction it off, and everybody's like, "Oh, donated by Aaron Baker." That did the same thing in Flagler County, did the same thing in Putnam County. Anywhere across the state that I can get name recognition at a lower price than, you know, paying for a $30,000 TV spot, so that everyone knows, you know, who I am. Specifically in Flagler County, I mean, they made these huge posters, like 3 foot by 4 foot, and, you know, put them everywhere in Flagler County for 2 months before they auctioned the gun off. And in big giant letters, it said donated by Aaron Baker.
Smart.
You know, I'm figuring out ways to make inroads that most people think that you have to have millions and millions and millions of dollars. My cost per vote during the special primary was $6. Randy Fine's cost per vote was over $100.
Correct.
So I don't need the 13 million or whatever it took.
You just need enough.
I just need enough. I just need enough. And you know, I think that's really probably, you know, maybe $1 million. I think that would get it done. Because if you look at it side by side, you know, I'm the hometown kid. I grew up on Daytona Beach. I was born in Lakeland. You know, spent all my summers here. Versus, you know, the Hamburglar. You know, I mean
you got it wrong, my brother. You got it wrong. He's
Grimace.
He's Grimace.
He's Grimace.
Real
Grimace.
But you
let this finish so we can move on, and then I have some thoughts also about let it finish.
I was going to ask you about that, but since you brought it up, and I didn't,
I'm bringing it up.
Okay, you brought it up,
and so like a criminal investigation having nothing to do. He said it was going to be a fraud. We're going to investigate one of your staff for fraud, right. And he told another one of my staff this: if you guys don't straighten up. You know, if you want to play hardball, if this is how you want to play it or something like that, this member of your staff is going to get criminally investigated for fraud. A very specific threat.
That's some nerve. Okay, so this was my thought. So of any of the people that are running in your Republican primary, if anybody who doesn't, you know, get Randy Fine seats, some of these people need to at least go try to challenge Brian Mast. You just got to go a little further south. Somebody's got to go down a little further south and get that piece of shit out too.
Without naming, no, please go ahead.
I've talked to Dr. Rechtenwald about that, and there's you know, there's conversations behind the scenes also.
Good, because he's another problem. So yeah, good.
Now, clearly, without naming any names, because you know, politics is politics, and obviously there are several people that are in this race, and I think this is a good place to wind down the conversation. There are clearly people that are in this race because they genuinely want to represent the district. They want to represent the people of Congressional District 6. There are also people that are running to either protect Fine or protect the establishment. Are there people that are in this race that you have communicated with as of today where you can see the synergy of potentially collaborating going forward, especially if you become, let's say, the front-running challenger to Randy, that they ultimately would coalesce behind you to make sure that you guys get Randy out next summer?
So I spoke to one of the candidates before he filed, and Governor DeSantis has a good saying: stop electing squishy Republicans. Well, the one that I sat down and had lunch with beforehand is a squishy Republican. You can take him, mold him like Play-Doh into whatever special interest he needs to serve. So that's a big X. I had lunch with another one in Daytona Beach last week and asked him a very specific question. about something, if he was being supported by someone else. And he said, yes, absolutely. Well, I guess he didn't think that I knew the someone else that I was asking about, but I do. And later that day, I just happened to run into that certain someone else. So I know that the other person flat out lied to my face. So really, there are three of us that are challenging. The other people that are running as Republicans, I've tried to reach out to them. They simply just filed paperwork, but they haven't shown any campaign records yet. I mean, anybody can file preliminary paperwork.
Yep.
It costs you $0. There's no fee until qualification comes around, where you either have to pay $10,440 or you have to have all your petitions turned in. I'm the only one that's actually turned in any petitions so far, and I'm continuing to do it. I have probably 1,000 at my office to turn in, and I am in this to win it. I am in this because I believe. I believe that someone has to take care of the people here. Someone has to have enough common sense to be a voice of reason. I grew up in the 80s and early 90s when Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill could hate each other between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. And at 5:01, they sat down and have a brandy together or Irish whiskey. That's how people used to be able to work together, and we have got to get back to that point in this country where it's not I hate you, you hate me. We really have to start taking care of people. I mean, most of the issues that Congress deals with, they're nonpartisan issues. 90% of the stuff we're going to agree on. Okay, so let's work on the 90% of the stuff to show Congress is doing something. I mean, so far this year, Congress has been in session for almost a year. And how many executive orders have we codified into law? A total of zero. None, not one. I mean, talk about a do-nothing Congress. We have the very definition of a do-nothing Congress. So let's hide behind, we can't release the Epstein files. Oh, guess what? Oh, now we're going to release them all. But Kash Patel is going to call and threaten Congressman Massie if he wants the unredacted version, or not Massie specifically, but Massie's staff. This is an upside-down, batshit world that we live in, and we have got to get out of it.
I agree. Yeah. So, what are they? No, I'm sorry. Go on. I got distracted for a second by somebody in the chat.
I think that this conversation has actually been very fruitful. I don't know if you'll actually say the words single payer. I don't know how that will go over in the district, but I don't think you're that far off. And I've had enough conversations with people who are on the conservative, even libertarian side of politics, who understand where we're coming from when it comes to the healthcare debate. I think there's a lot of other issues that, just from a conservative versus progressive perspective, probably wouldn't have as much synergy. But I will tell you this, and we'll leave on this thought. When you mentioned before that you're a Second Amendment enthusiast, I have been on record, and I will stay on record as saying the following. Regardless of where you stand on our constitutional rights, and specifically the Second Amendment, just know this. And considering where this world is going and is right now, the only reason why we are not a full-blown police state under government control is because this is an armed nation. That's the only reason. If that was not the case, we would have been a police state and under control decades ago. But because we have people that do believe in the right to bear arms, listen, if the people who live in New York City and Washington, D.C. and Portland, Oregon want to be under armored control, that's their business. Go right ahead and have it. But the overwhelming majority of this country doesn't agree with that. So that, to me, is actually a policy that not only, I'm sure, is a very big issue in your district, but it's also an issue that people don't necessarily want to admit, but I think is a core issue that we can all agree upon, or should at the very least be able to agree upon. I think there was more to agree on than not. If you have not connected with Josh Wheel, I hope that you will. He obviously had no chance of winning, but he did raise a lot of money. He made a lot of connections. And if the goal is to get Randy Fine out, which I would believe that he would agree upon, I hope that you two can connect. I would be more than happy to facilitate that and see what we can do to make this happen. The information is in the description, guys. Please give Aaron at least a follow on social media. See if you are in any way, shape, or form enticed by what has been discussed this evening. And if your goal is to get Randy Fine out of Congress, this is going to be your best shot to do so. Any final thoughts before we depart?
God bless America. America.
Not Israel, correct. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on.
Happy holidays, brother.
Thank you
Thank you and best of luck, and we'll definitely talk again soon.
Thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Bye-bye. So yes, as you can see, there is common ground, whether you believe it or not. Now, Aaron may not have said single-payer healthcare, but he didn't say no either. So the conversation is moving in the direction on certain issues that we agree upon, as he would agree upon. And that's the thing that he mentioned also at the end about, the Reagan-O'Neill camaraderie that existed despite the obvious differences that existed when it came to policy. But it also goes without saying that it is a give and take relationship. So if you believe in, for example, the Second Amendment, and you want to have laws that are not meant to go after your ability to bear arms, on the flip side, if you believe in the health and well-being of the American citizen, then you would support single-payer healthcare. And to me, I would think, Jen, those are two issues that there is definite agreeable middle ground upon. You give a little of this, we give a little of that, and that's how we bring it all together.
Well, for me, but I've never had an issue with the Second Amendment. It's not.
Well, a lot of people apparently do.
Yeah, liberals, libs yes. have a problem with the Second
people that
Amendment.
are going to, what is it again? They're going to end up in what section?
What do you mean, District 12?
District 12. Okay, so that's where they're going. They're going to District 12.
Well, they're certainly not coming to 13. 13 is where the revolutionaries are meeting. 13, District 13 would be like the equivalent of Zion in the Matrix. That's where the real thing is happening.
David, I vehemently disagree with you on this point, because if you listen to what he said specifically throughout the conversation, he basically was intimating single payer. He might not have said it, but he knows where we stand, and he knows that maybe not in that congressional district they're ready to hear it, because you have to remember something too, that is very important, especially somebody who lives in New York City, and this is in Central Florida. You cannot give Randy Fine anything to run on. You can't give him a single thing, because if Aaron ends up becoming the front-running challenger to his position and he says single-payer healthcare, he is going to blanket the air, because he'll have millions and millions of dollars. He will call him a socialist. They will put that on every fucking billboard.
It doesn't matter whether or not he supports it anyway. It's another thing. And I was watching David Hunter in the chat, and it's like the reason, and Peter and I talked about this before Aaron came on. I knew that I'm not going to sit here and have like meaningful policy discussions and policy debates with him, because it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant to the point. The point is that's a red district. You're getting a red person. Okay. And right now, Randy Fine is sitting there. So if this guy, who at least wants to stop supporting Zio wants to come in and take that seat, the idea of whether or not he supports single healthcare is sort of irrelevant. You're not having that.
Well, not only that, but don't forget that he's also not taking corporate special interest.
Exactly.
Money.
Well, exactly. This is someone who's not taking money and actually wants to be a representative. So it doesn't necessarily matter whether he believes in single payer healthcare. His district is that district.
Yeah.
So it's only going to go so far anyway. But it sounds to me like he might be the best opportunity to take out Randy Fine if he is, in fact, the person who ran against him already.
Well, the fact of the matter is, if Rechtenwald is supporting him, then by extension, Massie is supporting him. So if you are America First, I mean, he did say he has Massie's phone number. I'm gonna have to get it. I'm gonna have to.
Nobody's giving you Massie's phone number. They know you'll be like a #1 fan.
No, but what I will tell him is that, listen, if you would just send him a text and say, listen, we'd really love to have him on the podcast. He knows who you are. So I would just say, listen, Jen Perelman's podcast would like to have you on as a guest. Would you be willing to come on? You never know. He might say, yeah, what the hell? I'll come on for 30 minutes.
That would do amazing for us. We'd get numbers.
We would. We'd also, again, be under the radar of people that definitely are not going to want that.
So like that could be like our
suppression.
swan song. Like we could have him on and then that would be the end of our channel. Is that what you're saying? They'd shut our shit down?
This is also the big issue here when it comes to speaking truth to power. We are faced with a very real problem when it comes to censorship. Now, this is not something, you see, we know that we're making an impact. We know we're making an impact and we wish you lots of luck. We do. And if we can help support you, we will continue to push that narrative forward. And I mention this because everybody looks at Trump and all the things that are going on right now, and they're thinking, oh my God, everything just came apart now. No, it didn't just come apart now. And I bring this up because I don't know. I mean, Jen, what can you say about Helen Thomas?
Well, I mean, I remember her growing up my whole life. I remember her she was like a fixture really in the press room. I mean, I had been watching her in the White House press room forever. And this was back when there were somewhat normal decorum-like press conferences where they actually would ask questions and then those questions would get answered. So this was a little bit different time. Like we're so far from that now, but yeah, no, I remember her being a very quality journalist. Forever. And I remember when this happened, and I remember this going very badly. I remember when this happened, and I remember, of course, all the Zios were not having it.
This is an example when people complain about what has happened to the media in this country. This, again, the one thing you guys have probably noticed about our live streams is that we try to make it as synergy driven as possible. Now, at the beginning, we talked about Zio scumbag evangelical freak show Mike Evans and talking about the importance of controlling the media. Well, that's pretty obvious. But this also comes full circle here because Helen Thomas was what a real journalist was supposed to be. She wasn't there to be a friend. She was there to get the story. That's what a journalist's job, that's what Jordan Chariton and James Lee's job are, for example, in terms of being a journalist. You're not there to be a friend. You're there to do your job.
And well, this was also in a time where if you weren't a friend, you didn't lose your credentials. So we're at a time now where people are having to walk that line. If you want to be invited into the press room, you have to be a friend. So that's the game that it is now. She existed in a world where that wasn't necessarily the case.
Go back and watch some of the press conferences during Watergate when Helen Thomas would be there and questions would be asked of President Nixon. He didn't dodge them, and he didn't have many friends at all, as we all know. But at the end of the day, the job was done. Today, that's over. And that didn't start with Trump. He just took it to a whole other level. But no question, this is imperative. From Drop Site News.
Helen Thomas. She covered 10 US presidents from John Kennedy to Barack Obama and was the first woman to break into several White House reporting roles, including the first female officer of the White House Correspondents Association. Her career came to an abrupt end in May of 2010 when a rabbi with a video camera asked her about Israel outside the White House.
Tell them to get the hell out of Palestine. They go home.
Where's the home?
Poland.
So the Jews,
Germany.
You think Jews go back to Poland and Germany?
And America and everywhere else.
She was spitting facts, and the world was just not ready to hear it yet.
And to think, she was probably, I guess, 80 years old at the time when she made this statement.
I don't know. She might have been even older. I mean, she lived for a while after this. I mean, she lived afterwards, but she was not allowed to go back to the press room. She got she got blackballed.
Yeah, no, I think she's probably about, I think she lived to be close to 90 or something. But yeah, she was somebody, it is without question. You always say, if you want to know who's in control, find out who you can't criticize.
Of course.
And this is somebody who everybody knew. Everybody knew her. This is a person who had personal conversations with JFK and everybody leading up to President Obama, who unceremoniously had her removed.
Correct. Thanks, Obama.
Obama got rid of her. Now, do I think Obama did it on his own volition? Of course not. But there are people who really believe that the commanders in chief are the ones that are in charge. No, the last president who thought they were in charge had their head blown off. That's how this works. So unless we are willing to take back our country, because that's where we are, then this is what we're faced with.
I remember when this happened very clearly.
50-year career.
Mm-hmm. And Obama kicked her out of took away her credentials.
Oh, yeah.
The clip spread instantly and the backlash was swift. The backlash included the White House Correspondents Association condemning her, her speaking agency dropping her, HARASS Communications forced her into retirement within days, and major outlets that once relied on her reporting blackballing her. Thomas spent half a century grilling presidents, but her criticism of Israel ended her career. She kept writing and giving interviews afterwards, arguing no journalist should be punished for opposing Israel's cruel policies towards the Palestinians. But she never returned to the White House briefing room, the place she dominated for decades. This comes as the New York Times is planning to sue the Pentagon for imposing new restrictions on how journalists can report on the military.
So that's why this is coming up, because this is what's going on currently.
And considering that the New York Times is as pro-Israel as any news source, news being a very loose term, the news source, now the New York Times is suing the Pentagon. As I said, this is a full-blown spiral. But as you've been saying, Jen, since we started this podcast, Trump was going to accelerate as much as facilitate the revolution in this country.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't realize it would be going at this pace. I didn't foresee this exponential rate that makes me feel like in a hurry to like get myself situated. But yeah.
JD is 100% correct. Eventually, you find out, no, you're not in charge. That's not how this works. And for those who saw our viral clip earlier of me discussing Candace Owens and Turning Point USA, I said unequivocally, I understand that, Candace, obviously, Charlie meant a great deal to her. And of course, she wants to memorialize him in a very profound way, understandably so. But Charlie Kirk was nothing more than a Trojan horse who knew how to talk on the stump. You would never have heard of him. He never would have existed in anybody's minds if it wasn't for the Zio billionaire class that allowed him to build that empire. That is the dirty secret about this broken system. You think people end up getting to these levels because they're just that great? Some over time can build an audience and things are going well, and yeah, they can get to certain places, but in the end, the buck will eventually stop with the people who pull the levers. The New York Times, who in the fuck reads the New York Times other than the biggest shitlibs walking the earth? The people who always vote in favor of war, who always vote in favor of the establishment, who
entitled people. I didn't mean to do that. Entitled people is the point.
Yeah, why did you put that up there?
I didn't mean to. I accidentally was trying to scroll down. I was saying to you, the people that are doing it are always entitled people. That who wants to go send other people's children to die for their shit.
Correct. And that's why now you come to this point about the New York Times suing the Pentagon. Who's working in the Pentagon now? Laura freaking Loomer is working in the Pentagon. Boy, we really have fallen quite far from Helen Thomas, haven't we, Jen?
Well, I'm not seeing the correlation between Helen Thomas and Laura Loomer. I'm not seeing that at all. But
my point is that who is delivering news if they're working in the Pentagon? If somebody like Laura Loomer is given press credentials in the Pentagon, but the New York Times is suing the Pentagon over First Amendment rights, How much further can we fall before eventually people say, I've had enough? I think we're pretty close. Like you said, we're probably not that far away.
The Pentagon's rules, which just came into effect, require reporters to sign a 21-page form that sets limits on journalistic activities, including asking insiders for story tips. The New York Times is arguing that this infringes on the constitutional rights of its journalists.
Here's another little tidbit that not many people are aware of. If you're at one of the Turning Point USA college campus events now, where they do the Q&A, well, guess what? Now you have to submit your question ahead of time, and it has to be screened to determine if it will be asked or not. So what does that tell you? Well, what it tells me, is I'm sure it would tell you, is that they know that their time is running out because the people there are going to be asking questions about Charlie Kirk. How were you funded? Why do you support Israel? We have to screen all those questions now. So much for open debate and talking about whatever it is that we want to talk about. You can't do that anymore. But as you've said, this didn't happen yesterday. It didn't happen today. It didn't even happen a few years ago. This has been in the works for almost a generation, and it came to a head after 9/11. And everyone who has been aware of how our government operates would agree. Those that are aware would understand that the Patriot Act is what brought us to this point. And at the time, you even said, as an attorney, well, you can kiss your 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment rights goodbye because that's what the Patriot Act is doing. It's going to take that away. You think the Patriot Act appeared out of nowhere because of 9/11? Or was it 9/11 that allowed them to finally pass it when the President of the United States was basically able to do whatever he wants? I mean, you want to talk about a real tyrant that had the support of both political parties at the same time? You know, Trump has never had the support of the Democratic Party. George W. Bush, for a period of time, with the war on terror, had the universal support of Congress, with rare exceptions like Barbara Lee and Bernie Sanders. But overall, like Hillary Clinton, they were all on board with it. And today, what do we have today? We don't have freedom of speech. Yeah, we have freedom of speech on this channel, but they can always penalize us. They did it recently.
We don't have freedom of speech. I can't even put whatever I want in the chat. It'll get rejected.
Who's to say we're not going to get another copyright strike before the first one goes up? And then we get to 2 strikes. And then the cycle repeats itself all over again before the channel is completely shadow banned. I mean, we're already dealing with enough of it as it is.
The Patriot Act was created a long time before 9/11. The Patriot Act was written. It was a plan. It was always a plan. I think it might go back to, I want to say it goes back to when they were in Reagan's administration, because it was a lot of those same people, whether it's, you know, Rumsfeld, Wolfowitz, a lot of those same people, or Ashcroft and those people.
No, I think if I remember correctly, I think the Patriot Act started as a response to people's concerns about the mergers regarding Clinton's passing of the Telecom Act in '96, because the media consolidation started in earnest as a result. And then it became even more obvious that people were not able to say the things that they wanted to say. They were trying to, but ultimately the Patriot Act was to make sure that they shut them up forever, at least in terms of their ability to make that change. And we went from 55 media companies, give or take, to today we have 6 or 5 that actually exist.
Like 90% of the media. Yeah.
Okay, so the Ellisons don't buy Warner Brothers. So Netflix buys them instead. We have laws in place.
It doesn't matter. We are a completely lawless nation. We're a completely lawless nation. That we don't, there's no, like, the only laws that are enforced are poverty crimes. That's the only thing that we seem to care about, are poverty crimes and penalizing poor people, because otherwise there is no rule of law. It only applies to poor people. So clearly that's our problem.
I want to give a shout out to, I believe her name is Tiffany Cianci. That's how you say your name. I want to confirm this real quick. Her name, it's Tiffany, it's Cianci or Cianci, it's Italian, If you want to see another layer in terms of how our country is going to hell, because it's obvious that we are, we have said that if there is an example of why our country will not survive this current system, if you could point to one element within the system that is proof positive of that fact, it's private equity. And what the three leading private equity firms in the world, BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, they all have their hands in everything. You know what they have their hands in all over the world? Endless war. They have it in Israel. They have it in Ukraine. They have it in, well, they will have it in China, specifically Taiwan, if it ever comes to that. They will have it in Venezuela. And they have it here at home in many different sectors of our society. And one of them is education. You want to know why education is ruined in this country and has been for a long time?
Because because we've connected it to property taxes and we have it also as a profit industry. Could that be it?
A really great video about Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, owning McGraw-Hill, the textbook company that has a monopoly in private schools and public schools all across the U.S. But do you know who owns it now? Because that, to me, matters more in this moment. And I want you to understand who is controlling the narrative that is teaching your children right now. And I don't think you're going to like it. So if you don't know, Platinum Equity owns McGraw-Hill. They acquired them in 2021. But who owns Platinum Equity? Well, I'm going to tell you. Platinum Equity is a private equity firm that was founded and is operated out of Beverly Hills, California by Tom Gores. Now, who is Tom Gores? Where's he from? What's he all about? And why is he controlling all of the textbooks in America? Thomas Gores was born in Nazareth, Israel. And
First of all, Nazareth is in Palestine. So let's just put that out there right now, because there is no Israel.
There is no such thing as Palestine.
Yeah.
It's Judea and Sumeria.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
then he matriculated to Michigan, where he grew up and became a big player, billionaire in American politics and in American industry. Now, I talk a lot about private equity, but Platinum Equity is known for some horrifying investments, especially in the for-profit prison system and exploitation racket and in the education system. I want to show you how they're creating monopolies that are single-handedly driving up costs for the poorest people and the people with the least amount of leverage in America. Now, in addition to owning the Detroit Pistons, why do they all own sports teams?
Right.
Why? They also own Jostens and McGraw-Hill, which have monopolies on contracts with schools everywhere in every public school system in America. You know.
No, he's not a Palestinian. He's not a Palestinian. He's Israeli.
Well, put that in quotes.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that, it's really weird too. Miriam Adelson owns the Dallas Mavericks. Thanks, Mark Cuban.
That company that has every photograph that's ever been taken of your child and controls it and its likeness. You know, that company that has a full-on monopoly for all class rings, all graduation materials, everything that you have to buy that has a price that's fixed, that is exploitative so poor people can't afford to graduate and have the things that everyone else can have. They own them, of course. And McGraw-Hill, which has a near monopoly on the entire school book industry in the United States. But wait, there's more, because what I want to talk about is an investment they made in a company called Securus. Now, Securus was a company that created technology to enable communication between prisoners and their families outside of for-profit prisons. And it's amazing because as soon as they acquired Securus, Securus got monopoly contracts on an entire massive prison system. And suddenly what happened was the prisoners were cut off from in-person visits. They said,
Why would they do that?
Well, she's going to get into it, but this is something that has been happening all around the country with prisons, is they'll stop, in-person visits so that they have to spend money to do these Zoom type meetings, and this company charges a fortune of money, and they charge for the computer. She's going to get into it, but it was all part of the scam for the contractors. So when people say things like, well, not all prisons are private, you're right, but all the contractors are.
Oh yeah.
We don't have in-person visits anymore. No. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to make it where you have to use these external phone systems, and that's the only way you can see your relatives. But it comes with a price. There's no more free visitation. And what happened after that is horrifying. In 2024, multiple civil rights organizations filed civil lawsuits against Securus that said that once they entered the jail system in Michigan, what happened was they hiked up the pricing on calls to families so that you were paying a minimum of $12.99 to $20.99 to see your kid for your visitation. Only prisoners don't have $12.99 to $20.99. So if you didn't have money, you didn't get to see your children or your family anymore, when they could have come to visit for free in person prior to this. Now they started charging 21 cents per minute for phone calls that were not video calls. And then they set up a kickback scheme where 50% of every one of those phone calls was getting kicked back to the county to stop people from seeing their relatives, their children, their family members, their friends. And the contract went further. It had a minimum guarantee that they would get at least $190,000 in kickbacks for the county for forcing these prisoners to use this system. Now, study after study has shown that when prisoners are given access to a strong support and family network, they are much, much more likely to actually reform themselves and do well coming out of prison later. But if you're in the for-profit prison system, you don't care about that. You want that revolving door spinning like this. Now let's talk about how our education system plays a critical role in how our young people are trained to either move into success or failure and on track to a prison system.
I love it. She's going to connect it all together. The whole connection between why owning McGraw-Hill and why owning these prison contract companies are all connected. It's glorious, really.
This is an example of it's a big club and you ain't in it.
The prison and public school pipelines to prison is a well-known and established problem in the United States. It's oftentimes the way that they choose where to build for-profit prisons is looking at the third grade reading levels of people in public schools in a given area. And when they see that the reading levels are very low, they know that 15 years from now, the prison need will be higher. And that's how they choose where to build for-profit prisons. So you have to understand that controlling our education system, controlling our scholastic programs is also creating a pipeline to the prison system. And private equity has their hands in all of it. But it's also how we instill and shape public opinion from an early age. And I want to show you one of the ways that they're doing it for adults in America, because they also happen to Cision and Centerfield. Now, if you're not familiar with Cision is literally the leading technology provider for tracking and shaping PR and marketing narratives in the United States and the world.
So when I was probably, I guess I must have been about 25 at the time. I worked at Cision for about 4 or 5 months.
I never heard of it. Like I never even heard of that until just now.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a lot of companies out there that people hadn't heard of, and then the next thing you know, they're like, "Holy shit, what does this do?" So it was like being in the boiler room, is the way I would describe it. There was no set order. It was basically you sit there, you watch TV and a whole bunch of channels, morning shows, things like that, and you try to find product placement for specific companies, and then you call them and you help facilitate their PR. It was so strange, is the only way I can describe what it was like working in that Midtown Manhattan office. And I did it for, like I said, about 4 or 5 months. And I knew pretty quickly, yeah, this is definitely not my thing. It didn't make any sense. So I totally get it.
Yeah, we'll make sure to put the link to this in the description, or however we can do it. Or can somebody help this person? I'm not the tech person.
Yeah, Colin, drop it in the
somebody help us.
Anywho.
They control and track every Google reference, mention, press mention, PR, press release. They control everything that shapes public narrative and public opinion on any and every given issue. And they are also owned by Platinum Equity. I don't like coming on here and being doom and gloom. I don't like coming on here and talking about private equity constantly. It's dark. But people have to start to recognize that the entire world has become monopolized and controlled by the hands of 100 people that literally control everything we buy, everything we do, everything our children learn, everywhere that we take our kids, everything we read online, everything that happens in prison systems and foster care and everywhere in between. And if we don't wake up and start passing some referendum laws to bring an end to it, we're not going to be able to bring it back in. We have got to start making a difference and demanding more. And this is not a one-party problem. Both parties take this money. Both parties benefit financially from this entire system. Both parties leave Congress and run off to sit on boards of directors at private equity firms. Ask Kristen Sinema.
Facts.
There are 18 states in the U.S. where you can pass a referendum law allowing citizens to bypass the legislature and pass laws on their own. Now, I don't know what those 18 states are. Florida,
well, we're one of them.
I'm sorry, Florida's.
We're one of them.
We are.
Yes.
Okay.
What are you talking about? We could pass by amendment.
So that's an amendment passage. Yes. Okay. So
well, yeah. I mean, she's talking about ballot initiatives. We have that here. We are one
that's
of those.
The one thing we have in the state of Florida that's actually a really good thing.
Except we're also so stupid here that we actually were so stupid to vote away our power in that. So there was actually an amendment on a ballot years back where the people in this state, not me, mind you, but the people in this state voted to increase the number required to pass a ballot initiative to 60% instead of 50.1 or whatever the number was. Oh, yes, we're that dumb here. And again, by we, I don't mean me, because I remember very clearly then trying to tell people, people are going to really vote away their power like that? Yes. And yes, they did.
Yes, we're Americans.
No,
they just did it again. All right. So like you have to understand that these people don't serve us, but we have to start serving one another, and we can do it through passing referendum laws, getting private equity out of home ownership, getting private equity out of monopolistics, passing new regional antitrust and monopoly laws at our state level. We can make a difference, but we actually have to try. And if you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and we work together to fight private equity and save small businesses in our community.
And that the truth is that private equity is just another word for capitalism. That's where we are. I mean, she's calling it private equity because she's not wanting to or may not even herself internalize that the problem is really capitalism. And so for people like her, it's you're distinguishing. It's sort of like Peter, he supports the free market. But at the end of the day, capitalism is failing. And it is failing because, yes, there's no restraints on it whatsoever, but universal basic services, things like education, healthcare, housing to some extent, cannot be profit industries. Okay? Corrections cannot be. And the truth is, it isn't corrections. It's a punishment bureaucracy. There's nothing correctable about it. It's bullshit. And more on this, but I will be hosting an abolition mini series in January that I'm in the process of planning. But anywho,
aside from the state of Florida, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Idaho, Maine, Massachusetts, Michigan, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, and South Dakota. You want to get something passed in the state and you don't want to deal with your crooked legislature to have to deal with it? Start an amendment. Get the votes. I don't know how many it takes to actually get it on the ballot. Each state is
it's absurd. It was like because we did it for the abortion initiative that failed. Because again, why did it fail? Because we need 60% here. If we simply needed a majority, it would have passed. But no, we're Florida, and I am not Florida for long. As of January 1, I am leaving and moving. So
a happy new year, guys. We will put it in the description for Tiffany Ciensi's Instagram page. I've also had Rachel invite her to come on the podcast, so we will work that out. Before we get to our final talking point of the evening, our final segment.
Which is, I forget, what's our final segment?
It's the fun one. It's the fun one. We'll get to the fun one in a minute.
Okay.
So make sure, one more time, that you go over to patreon.com/revolutionary change. For as little as $5 a month, you can become a supporter of our small but mighty and growing channel. Now, at most recent count, we are at 93,916 subscribers. So we are closing in, getting very close to that number that we would like to get to, which is...
Don't say it. You're going to...
I didn't even finish it, so you guys already know. The plaque number. We're getting close. But also, if you are so inclined,
I'm going to wear it around my neck like one of those rappers used to do in the days, like in the
Flavor
80s.
Flav.
I am. I'm going to wear the plaque around my neck like a necklace.
Make sure you also click the QR code to check out the Revolutionary Change Pack. Much like Michael Rechtenwald is helping support Aaron Baker for Congress, we are helping support Shama Sawant, who is running for Congress, and Butch Ware, who is running for governor of California. Make sure you check them out. Now, to the more pressing topic of super chatters. Duly noted with the $10. Thank you very much. Is it true that Netanyahu threatened the Samson option if the U.S. didn't bomb Iran? And how far do you think this threat goes? Congrats on climbing out of the algorithm. Thanks for keeping it real. I wouldn't say we've climbed out of the algorithm. I would just say that we've developed a big enough following that combats the algorithm. I would say that that's a fair assessment.
I think we're keeping our heads above water with the algorithm. That's what I think. I think we're able to not be drowning. That would be
That's
my
a fair way of looking at it.
As far as the Samson option, we'll never know exactly what's been said. We don't know what's been said, what Milikowski said or what he threatened. I think that is definitely something that is real. We know that they unlawfully, again, we are not a law-abiding nation, and so neither is our appendage, but they have nuclear weapons in complete violation of international law because they're not supposed to, and yet they do, and yet we pretend like they don't, but they do. So the Samson option is definitely something that is a real threat, I think, that does loom over. And so whether or not we did that strategic strike in Iran, it was done very clinically. It was the Iranians were told this is what we're going to be hitting. I know that we hit a whole bunch of non-staffed or defunct reactor sites, or not reactor sites. What are they called? Where the nuclear, not nuclear weapons, but their nuclear resources. But it was a calculated strike, definitely sent to send a signal. But yeah, I don't know if it was specifically in regard to avoiding the Samson option, but
I will say it again, and I will keep saying it. There is no more dangerous world leader than Netanyahu Milikowski. There is no one who I believe is more dangerous to not forget world peace. He's just somebody who I believe, if push comes to shove, would absolutely drop a nuclear weapon. It will end the state of Israel. That will be it. It will be gone.
Yes. It will be gone. And is he somebody that would take out his whole country with him? Yeah, I think he's that level of psychotic narcissist.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If the walls are closing in on him,
he might.
He's Hitler. Like, he really is Hitler. Like, he is looking for a reason to, I mean, again, this is the whole thing about dropping the atom bomb, or even the hydrogen bomb for that matter. Although I don't think the hydrogen bomb, I don't know what type of an arsenal that even exists in at this point. Point being is that he is as dangerous as anybody that is walking the earth today, especially in terms of someone who has legitimate power, and that he does.
But for those of us that are fortunate enough to live in the capital, because when you live in the States, you live in the capital. That's the capital of American empire. So for those of us here, how would that affect us in terms militarily, in terms of nuclear, strikes or whatever? I am not entirely sure, but I don't think that it would have that kind of direct impact on those of us in the capital. But Israel launching a nuclear weapon in any direction whatsoever will end the state of Israel, because Iran will take it off the map. It'll be done. And Russia and China would be okay with that.
Indeed. Nancy Bernard again with the $4.99.
Because I had told her to go to meet up with Lila.
So there you go. So she already does listen. Willie Bragg has officially become a YouTube member. Thank you so much.
Willie.
Make sure you subscribe to the Willie Bragg Show on YouTube if you haven't currently done so.
Yes, guys, check out Willie's show. He has great conversations over there. Even if it's sometimes him just talking, it's really good. He has really good commentary over there.
Puzzled Duty, thank you for being a 2-month member. Zios want U.S. open air prisons. I'm a white-sican. That's interesting. Meaning that you're Mexican who can pass for white. That's good. That's good.
They do want open air U.S. prisons. And again, if you think it's just going to be immigrants, you are insane. You're losing your mind, because they're going to start rounding up the homeless people that can't afford housing because of private equity and putting them in these kinds of camps.
Agreed. Constance End with the $2. Hi, Aaron. Just volunteered for you. That is very
excellent.
Sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Libertarian Social Democrat with the $4.99. Best compromise. The right supports single payer and the left must give up gun control. This is the way to get safe. Libertarian Social Democrat, you couldn't have said it better. I think this is definitely a big issue. And
the gun issue is so frustrating for me as somebody who I do consider myself pretty left. And when I hear libs and the thing about the gun control, it's like fingernails on the blackboard to me. It is so unbelievably infuriating. And it's such a waste of time. I can't. It's stupid. That ship has sailed. There's more guns than people. You're not getting them back. You're not bringing that in. It's not fucking happening. Let it go.
Libertarian Social Democrat with the $4.99 again. Nevada is the closest thing where people on the left and right get things done, such as the public option, lefty programs, but no income tax, gun friendly. Whoa, wait a second. The state of Nevada has the public health option. When did this happen? This is news to me. So,
the Nevada Dems refused to come on our show because they got probably a phone call from Debbie saying I was mean to her and called her and I was anti-Semitic and referred to her in an anti-Semitic manner.
Let me tell you something, Debbie. You are on borrowed time. Don't ask me how, guys, but just trust me when I tell you. If there is something that we might be able to celebrate in 2026, it is her exit from.
Well, is Claudia getting money?
It's not about that.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's about redistricting.
We'll see. We'll see. And with the $1.99, Justin Amash needs to be back in Congress with Tlaib. I agree. And Justin Amash is Palestinian, and he is a libertarian Republican. I really don't know why he stepped away from Congress. I still don't remember what the reason was, but he was a good congressional representative, and he was very close with Thomas Massie. So he'd be one guy that would definitely be fighting alongside him right now if he was still there. Marvin Vargas with the $1.99. Check out Prospera Project Honduras. And apparently it has something to do with Mr. Thiel. Yeah, it's probably worth taking a look at.
As if we haven't done enough harm to Honduras. That's what we need. We need to have Peter Thiel be able to abuse them and objectify them.
And finally, Willie wants to do a little bit more gift giving this holiday season with $5. Netanyahu is the most evil man alive, period. No argument from us. He's pretty bad. At least in terms of a world leader.
You know, it's when you see people in any political fashion whatsoever, and this is how you know people are not serious people, and this is one of the key problems with a lot of the Democrats, and you sit there and you talk about somebody like Vladimir Putin, like he's a dictator and he's evil and all of this stuff, like he's so bad. But then you're cozy with Milikowski. You are not a serious person. You have no morals. You like that is not someone that could ever be taken seriously. So for anybody politically who would sit there and go after Vladimir Putin, but somehow politically justifies Netanyahu, that's not anyone you could take seriously. That's just silly.
To close for the evening, we have been warning people for the longest time that the state of Israel is failing. And it's obvious that it's failing because at least a fourth to a third of the population is trying to find their way out of it. whether to Cyprus, whether to Argentina, whether to Thailand, and now apparently Portugal.
Oh, I'm so sad about this. I am so sad about this. I love Portugal.
But now, if you think that's bad, the Zios are showing up in Italy, of all places. And as we know, Italy is one of those countries that does recognize Palestine, even though their heads of state are not the best people. However, the Italians, led by one of the most amazing people, we talk about Miss Rachel and the impact that she's had on the domestic side. The Miss Rachel equivalent on the international side is Francesca Albanese and her people standing up for human rights. Well, it turns out that the Zios have found their way into Italy and are now causing problems amongst the populace, especially when they see people wearing a Palestinian shirt. This apparently happened over the weekend.
Piece of shit, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Free Palestine. Scusa, possiamo essere lasciati in pace? You know how you look? You look like a gay guy. You know what they do to gay guys? You know what they do with the gay guys? You go to fucking thing because they hate you, motherfucker. You're so fucking stupid. You fucking kill children. Like my shoe. You're stupid like my fucking shoe, you idiot. Shame on you.
This is not going to go over well in Italy. And I don't know, I don't know where in Italy this is. But yeah, this woman is so stereotypical Israeli. It's just, it's perfect. It's really perfect. This is the level of entitlement. They go to other people's homes and talk shit to them.
Hey, Jen, I just got a text message from Jasmine Crockett letting me know she's running for Senate.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
Brindisi.
Well, Brindisi, it's a town on the east coast of Italy, and it's like a port town. So it's where a lot of ships go between there. Like that's where you get the boat from there to Corfu in Greece. Like it's common travel route.
Just the fact that she's speaking English to the Italians.
Miss Rachel is not Jewish, no.
No, she's Italian, actually. So this to me is just another example of their level of entitlement. Now, they know that they can't speak Hebrew to them, but she decides to speak English, and it appears that one person in the crowd happens to at least understand it enough to understand what she's saying. But this is a vile person.
Oh, yeah.
This is a person who's saying that they're going to cut your dick off, mother effer, and this and that.
Well, that's the number one trope that they use against people that they see that they assume are LGBTQ is they use this concept that in Palestine or in Palestinians or in Gaza, you're not allowed to be gay and they'd kill you there. Yeah, it's not legal to get gay married in Israel either. So that's not a thing there either. So it's just one of their talking points that they use.
Katie has an opinion about this, Jen.
What is she saying? Israelis can move to Florida and what?
And then be done with it, I guess is probably what she's saying.
Well, they can now. As soon as I'm leaving, I'm leaving. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, they can have South Florida.
Yeah, Little Israel, Southeast Florida. That's what it's
whatever. I don't care, but I'm
already halfway there anyway. So yeah, might as well.
Look at me, bitch. Look at me, Annie. Oh, ma dov'è la Digos quando serve? Piece of shit.
Okay, if you spit, you deserve to have your fucking head knocked off. Like that to me, they're
animals. They're disgusting. They're so unbelievably they're disgusting. Like they're actually, you know what? It's not nice to say they're animals because animals.
That's an insult to animals.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's not true. These people are just abhorrent. They have
no excrement. Can we call them excrement? I think excrement is a primary term. Can you explain to the audience why the women seem to be more psychotic than the men?
They just have been given carte blanche to do whatever they want. No one ever puts them in their place. No one ever puts them down. I don't know why they're so much worse than the men, but they are. They feel so much more. They're so much more brazen. Also because, well, yes, I do know. It's because she knows that this guy's not going to put hands on her. Whereas if a guy went up and got in his face, he might punch him out. So the guys are basically pussies. They're not going to say anything. They let their wives and their girlfriends do it because they're not going to get themselves knocked on their asses. But I assure you, and this is true, I know not just for me, but there's women out there, that I don't care whether you're male or female, you pull this shit near me, I'm taking you down. Like this person needs to be doing a face first into that concrete right there. Preferably with somebody's hand behind the back of her head pushing it.
Yeah, you're also tall, and she is short as hell. Is she even? Maybe
I
she's
don't care how tall she is.
No, I don't care either.
I would have her face first on the ground with her arm twisted behind her back in like 3 seconds. Spitting at people? Oh, I don't think so.
Let's watch it one more time. Here it comes.
Dov'è la Digos quando serve? Piece of shit, I'm gonna fucking kill you! Damn it! Don't mess with the Israeli people! Women and stupid!
Is that a threat?
You're even Arab!
Is that a threat?
You're not even Arab!
Respectful question.
You're not even Muslim. Oh my God. It's just, yeah. Part of why I'm leaving. Part of why I'm moving.
I agree with Justin. I mean, it just honestly, it sounds like they're trying to hawk up a hairball every time.
Well, to me, I don't like it. I've never liked it. It always sounds gross, but I also don't like German. So, and that is a real language. But so to me, just some accents sound like.
Yeah,
it's too angry. It's too angry.
That's schießen. And of course, as the coup de grace, she decides to give the finger to, or the up yours gesture. This is just one.
I can't.
It's just one.
I can't. Look, I am purposefully putting myself in a position where I don't have to come into contact with these people. And it is really for everybody's own good at this point. You know what I mean? It's for my own good. I don't necessarily want to be arrested for this. Like, these kinds of people are not worth being arrested for. But it's like, that is one of those things that would inevitably happen to me. Like, I wouldn't be long for ripping somebody in half with shit like that.
I feel the same way.
Losing it.
I think they still don't understand how much people truly hate them, how much people do not want to deal with them. And this is going to come back and get them. They are conducting business right now like they are Teflon. As of this moment, they believe that they can't be touched, and that's why she acts like that. But what's going to end up happening, and this is also the thing, guys, that again brings these conversations full circle, as I addressed on Saturday night with the IOF, as Jen likes to say, soldier who decided he couldn't take it anymore and decided to end it. Well, guess what? There is going to be an unsightly amount of Israelis offing themselves over the next several years, because eventually what's going to end up happening is they are going to be cast out like the lepers they are from society. People are not going to deal with them. They won't be served anywhere. It will be as if they had a yellow star tattooed to their forehead everywhere that they went.
Good.
No, don't serve them. Do not have anything to do with them. And that's what's going to happen.
Good.
Unfortunately, as long as we are still the world's hegemon, they will find a place in Southeast Florida. They've already set up their own.
Oh, they've been here since I was a kid. I mean, that's not new. This is definitely, it's here in New York. That's where they are.
Yeah,
that's where they are.
And that's all they're ever going to be accepted. But honestly, I want retribution. I want justice.
I know. And a lot of people do. And it's not, nothing will be satisfying until that. And I feel like what concerns me is that that's just where we are. We're just going to live without that. And yeah, I need to leave. I can't be near these people.
Our responsibility, what we can control, even if we can't deliver, whether it's street justice or judicial justice, whatever it may be, our goal remains the same. The disintegration of the state of Israel, and it is once again Palestine, And that means revolution in the United States, because they're not going to stop. They will not allow us to have what is the will of the people unless we do as Thomas Jefferson said would once be necessary at some point in the future. And this is where we are. It pains us to have to say it this way, but the truth sometimes hurts, and it always needs to be said. The truth will set us free. And the truth is, the United States has an unholy alliance, an appendage, if you will, with this Ziostate that is in, still to this day, firm control of the economic hegemony around the world.
It is us.
It is us. So it's our job, as we the people, to unite around a handful of core issues and see to it that we take our country back. And with it, ending Israel as we know it and making a Palestine once more from the river to the sea. They shall be free. We have one more super chat to get to before we conclude for the evening.
I've lived in the Midwest, Charlie. I've lived in Chicago and Indianapolis.
Emilio Alex with the €11.99 donation. YouTube won't let me post my real feelings about the apartheid state. Nevertheless, they are finished.
They are. They're like, it really is like The Walking Dead. It is like they're dead. They just haven't realized it yet. And now it's just the whole world is waiting for them to just fizzle out. But they cannot, like, they think that somehow they're going to go in and fix up Gaza and everything's going to go back to just the way it was. They are that delusional, but no, they're done.
Smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things that we ask you to do. We love you all. We appreciate you all. It has been a very nice sized audience tonight. We got close to 600 live viewers, and we may have gone over 600. So you guys are great. Again, it is with extreme gratitude that we thank you all for your amazing support of this small but mighty channel. We are about to pass 94,000 subscribers, which is incredible. And we are continuing to prove that speaking truth to power still has value in an otherwise crumbling empire.
With that in mind, you should also subscribe on Rumble.
Please do. Revolutionary change on Rumble.
Because you never know what's going to happen in any one platform that gets tired of our nonsense.
Also Instagram, TikTok, and X. Smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things that we ask you to do. We appreciate you all. We love you all. We will see you Thursday, and
free Palestine.
Good night, guys.